Hello, my children. Welcome back to ThoughtTube. I'm feeling like a chav today. I've got my hair up in a bun. I've got my jacket on. We're gonna watch a debate about Zionism. And in a larger context, the British Empire and its colonial rule. Are you excited? Are you all excited? I don't know why. I am just feeling like streaming tonight. You gotta give me a little time to decompress. If I stream like once every 3 days, I literally can't wait to do it. But if I do it if I do it every day, I feel the pressure. Also, I was in hiding after releasing my Nick Fuentes music video. Just kidding. That was a work of love. Did it go viral? Not quite, but sometimes it takes a little while. You don't know. Right. So we're multi-streaming. We're live on Kick. We're live on YouTube. The video's going. It's going well. Yeah, it's going well. It's well doing, love. Also, little update. I'm growing my nails out, and I'm actually doing a really good job. I haven't had them this long in years. Oh my god, the exposure. It's supposed to auto exposure in literal years. They're looking a little ratty. I got some Sally Hansen nail enhancer. For people in the UK, this accent is atrocious. It's a work of extreme cringe. Love the look. It's giving anti-cleavage. Oh, hold on a second. You didn't realize what I had underneath. Yeah, it's a workout set. Yeah. But I'm keeping it covered. Until we get the donos. I need money. Can we work it in as a dono goal? What do you think? Can we do a $50 dono goal for the cleavage? Would you guys do that? I'll give you a little sneak peek. Can we do? You were about to donate. Can we do a little? Hold on a second. Dono goal. 0 out of 50 to take jacket off. I'm in desperate need of money. Desperate times call for desperate needs, don't they? Yeah, I know, Channel D. I know you are a gay man. You don't care about boobs. Yeah, but hopefully some people in the audience do. Anyways. Oh, I didn't. You're right. Thank you, Southwest. Thank you for the super sticker, sweetie pie. Love you. Thank you. We'll add that to the dono girl. Right, 3 out of $50. 47 left. Alright. Hold on a minute. I've lost my chat. 1 second. Let me bring up the debate. I'm in a silly, goofy mood. Guess who, by the way, guess who got tickets to World War debate? That's right, your girl right here. Yes, per queen. I'm going to meet Gavin McGinnis in real life, beach. That's right. I'm really excited. I'm hype. And I may even be a debater. We'll see. Jacket off. Yes, king. Let's go. Let's get the kicks in. Let's get the super chats in. That's 5 out of $50 to take the jacket off. To see my workout set underneath. Let's go. Damia sent Yap on behalf of Channel D. 2,000 kick. Let's go. Let's go. Hell yeah. That's $20. Good job, guys. Oh my gosh, you guys are so good at this. You're already halfway there. Oh my gosh. The old man is in here, so we can have some fun tonight. Yeah, I can see your chats. I'm gonna get a Rift TV contract. I'm competing with Sarah Stock. Move out of the way. Move out of the way. What's the debate about? Great question. Fantastic question, Sponge. The debate... Where am I going to put myself? I guess I'll put myself up here. By the way, they did him dirty with this thumbnail. I sent them a different picture of him. They chose the old one. James, what the fuck? Dude, you ask for a thumbnail picture, and then I send you one, and you choose this old-ass, grainy-ass picture. What's the problem? Do we have beef? What's going on? Yeah, no, so the debate is Zionism compatible with Christianity? Now... I'll give you guys a little sneak peek. Is my audio super low, by the way? It's like super high on my... Oh my god, it's not even high enough. Okay. I'll give you a little sneak peek. They actually wanted to... Both counterpoints and my dad wanted the debate to be, is settler colonialism compatible with Christianity? But that was, too complicated for a modern-day debate. So they picked Zionism because it's more on trend. But the sort of the global conversation is going to be about settler colonialism, particularly the British Empire as the biggest example. So they both know that, and they're both going to try to bring the topic out into that rather than just talking about Zionism. So there's a little lore for you, a little background. WL Fandom gifted a sub. Let's go. Oh wait, what the hell? Why am I not on OBS? Thank you, Damius. I'm sorry, thank you for telling me. WF Fandom gifted a sub, let's go. Why am I not on OBS? I don't have any of my effects. I don't know why I chose StreamYard. I really don't. I thought maybe me and my dad were going to do debate prep before he started this. So anyways, I got to get him coffee. So I'll be right back. I'll play some music. I can't really play music on YouTube. Fuck. Other dude has cross-eyed though, like Mersh. Dude, Counterpoints is such a spurring debater. This is gonna be good. He's such a spaz. He says, swears every 2 seconds to sound like a man. This is gonna be good. By the way, we are at 30 out of $50 to take the jacket off. $20 left, guys. That's 1 YouTube super chat or 4 gifted subs. Come on, let's get this party started. Let's get it started. That's not the right button. Never mind. Okay. It turns out I was wrong. We do have to take our clothes off to have a good time. Bunch of random kicks from Jim Bimo. I thank you, WF Phantom, for the gifted sub. I added that. Jim Bimo, thank you for the gifted kicks. I'm not going to add that because they're pennies, but thank you nonetheless for the shekels. 188 watching? No, Counterpoints is on YouTube. I don't think he's going to say the F slur. Okay, can I play music? What can I play while I'm gone? We need to get hype. Can I play Gummo? Can you play Gummo on YouTube? Copyright. You know what? Copyright free battle music. All right. Let's get hype. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Get ready. Get pumped. All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go. Okay, they're ready. Sorry. Oh yeah, we lit. Oh yeah. There they are. Yeah, boy. Where should I put myself? Okay, they're fucking up the audio. They're like super fucking up the video. Okay, I'll put myself here.
I got the Zoom call open. I got one Chrome tab open. My Chrome tab open has no.
What the fuck? What the hell? Who's running this? Who's driving this bus? Who's driving this bus?
It was feedbacking. All right. Hello, everybody. We are back with a banger of a debate tonight.
Everybody's too low. Am I crazy? Is everybody too low or am I too high? What's going on here?
But tonight we have
Do you hear their audio really low?
Christianity? And we got on the
I missed some
affirmative,
kicks.
we got
Hold on.
Counterpoints Connor, and then on the no, we got Ben Thorpe. And
okay, Jim Bimo sent like
we're going to
1,000 kicks. Damia's gifted a sub.
Music is so nice.
Let's go.
I see that comment. Okay.
Okay.
We're gonna do
I'll count that as like
and then
$2
5-minute
from Jim.
rebuttals.
Okay,
back
so
and
that's
forth,
37.
And then 50-minute discussion. That's gonna be
$13 left.
do what you
Whoa,
want,
David
keep it controlled,
Carmichael.
so I'm not gonna
Let's go. Thank you,
talking
David,
over
with the
each other.
$5.
And then 5-minute closings.
Okay,
So
we're
gonna open it up
making
for the Q&A.
bank.
Everybody
$8
get
left
your
to take my
questions in
jacket off,
early.
guys.
That way we can get
It was
them
$7.90.
rolling.
Oh, really?
All
Oh,
right,
thank you,
so
Jim.
one more
Oh,
time.
wow.
Is Zionism
Okay, well, I
compatible
think we
with
got the gold right
Christianity?
there.
I'm gonna hand it over to Connor
Let's go,
for a
guys.
8-minute opening. As soon as you're ready.
I think what happened was Jim spent all his kicks.
All right. So
Thank you, Jim.
the answer is Zionism compatible with Christianity. The answer is yes. It's actually quite straightforward. There's two scriptural references that I'll use. The first one is in Genesis 15. It's between God and Abraham, in which he uses, he sets the old covenant, and he says,
Hold on, guys. I will take the jacket
specifically,
off in a second.
in the same day, the Lord made a covenant with
to do a few
Abraham,
things.
saying,
1 second.
unto thy seed, I have given the land from the river of the Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. Then also, even once Jesus has arrived, Jesus is quoted as saying, do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. So between these two things, I should probably articulate the difference between my personal beliefs and what I think this scripture says. My personal beliefs is that this is shamanistic, schizophrenic people staring into the fire and feeling revelations from God. And there's a little bit of evolutionary psychology and a little bit of morality in there. And we can get into that particularly in the open. So I don't think that the creator of the universe actually specifically spoke to Abraham and said, you're going to inherit this territory between these two rivers. I likewise am a deist. I believe in God, but I don't believe in Jesus Christ as the Messiah. And I likewise do not believe that Jesus Christ was the emanation of God or the incarnation of God when he was saying that I did not come to abolish the prophets or the law. I came to fulfill them. However, I think that it is perfectly logical in Scripture to say that the Jews were promised this territory by God, and that their posterity was going to number in the billions, or outnumber the stars effectively, and that Christians and Muslims, arguably through being Abrahamic, have fulfilled that portion of the biblical prophecy. However, because Jesus Christ came and there's a new covenant, doesn't mean that the old covenant doesn't stand. And this is the logic of
I think my dad's got this
religious fundamentalist Zionists.
The land was
also,
promised to
I
them.
don't think that the marriage of, just because you have mundane politics, mortal plane politics mixing with religion, I don't think that that somehow makes it, I don't think that reduces the value of like religious or spiritual teaching. As an example.
Okay, I'm overstimulated. Just really quick, if he's gonna say like, God promised the Bible to the God promised the state that we know of as Israel, the nation, like the country of Israel was promised to the Jews. The country established in 1948. That's just like 100% wrong. Did he not watch the Tucker Carlson Ted Cruz interview?
Their beliefs not Christian. And so that's
I missed a
where,
few.
Ben can come
Jill
out
D,
and he can
thank
say,
you for the
oh,
dollar.
well, I'm a Catholic and I think
J-Mon,
that
thank
the
you
new
for the
covenant
dollar.
abolishes the old. And, I think that, Zionism is
Okay, jack it off.
contradictory to these biblical teachings, or I think that it's contradictory to these scriptures or whatever. But at the same time, vast swaths of the American public
I may be fat,
are
but
Christian
at
and
least I
are
have-
Zionist.
there's
And these
positives.
things are not incompatible. I don't know how much time I have left, but I can yield the rest of my time. That's the fundamental argument.
Cool. You had about
There you
5
go. To my candy while we watch the debate. Let's go.
minutes left, but we can.
I'll go
Don't need
short. I'll go short too.
Show the fit.
Ready?
It's another $10.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's gonna be an interesting debate because Connor takes an unusual position here. Usually you get like the Hasbara talking points.
The scale's not good. My
Here,
weight loss
like
is
the
not
Ted
going
Cruz
well.
kind of speech, but actually Connor's coming from a different place, which I think is refreshing. I'd like to come from a little bit of a different place as well.
Okay.
I don't think that Zionism really has anything to do with Christianity
I'm gonna
or
make myself a
Judaism, for that matter. In actual fact, the Zionist project, as it's played itself out, is a settler colonial project, and they used as a they used
Kind of pretty. Yeah, I am.
the template of British settler colonialism.
Connor looking extra.
The British
muscle
were
with that
literally
haircut.
there as Zionism began, and in 1948 they broke free of the British and then continued essentially this project not under British rule but under their own rule. And one of the, I think, under discussed aspects of the usual Hasbara stuff is, hey, we're only doing what you guys used to do. Look at what you did in World War II. Look at how you used violence to settle North America. And I actually think that is relevant. So I, in preparation for this debate, I did a little bit of research on the British Empire, and and this I think is the core of the only real justification you can make for this. And the British Empire is an incredible. The history of the British Empire is a history of incredible, horrendous bloodshed.
I need a
which,
fresh
of
zip
course,
for
I don't know
this.
if I have to say, like, Christianity is not into the idea of oppressing other human beings, the idea of mass murder and genocide. But just to give some quick stats on that, the British Empire, as we all know, peaked like in the early 20th century. The jewel in the crown of the British Empire was India.
True.
It's estimated that in India, somewhere between 60 and 165 million people died as a result of the British presence in that land.
True.
One example of that is in 1943, the Bengal famine, where 3 million Indians died while the British exported food from India for their troops. And Churchill famously said he didn't care at all. It's estimated that somewhere around $45 trillion in today's economy of wealth was extracted from India through the Dutch East India Company, which was sort of the British government.
I never did.
India was a wealthy country prior to the British landing there, and afterwards was extraordinarily impoverished. Extreme poverty went from 23% in 1810 to more than 50% when the British left.
The chat is roasting me. Wait. 1/. Somebody said she's doing it right now on her channel. She's hoeing them out for donations. Yes, come to the channel. Yes, we love you here. Having some fun. The old man's busy. Am I right? And by the way, no, I am not drinking. I had one beer today. Go to my Discord to check my daily calorie inputs. Today was 1,060. Last 2 days have not been great.
Ways in which they could have helped those people. It wasn't really about the potatoes. It was about destroying a colony that they wanted to subjugate. In Kenya in the 1950s, you had an insurgency. Kenya was a British colony in, of course, Africa. 1.5 million Kikuyu people were detained in concentration camps. Around 100,000 people died. They actually created a new type of pliers to crush men's testicles. There were severe beatings, burned with cigarettes, sexual assaults, genital mutilation, rape, all of the things we see today when the veil is lifted on how Palestinians are treated. Actually, the British innovated these things. You can't argue that the British innovated terrorism itself and brought it to the Middle East, where the Zionists then implemented it and then got it back in their face. So we can leave aside Jamaica, Bangladesh, Australia, Egypt, Sudan, the Atlantic slave trade, because I don't want to take too much time. But the history there, and this was claimed to be a Christian nation, and I really don't see how we could argue that that could possibly be. But I'll leave that as my opening.
Awesome. Okay, so we got 5-minute rebuttals.
Let's go, Dad. Let's go.
Connor?
Yeah,
Connor.
I love autistic history rants. It's actually one of my favorite things to do.
Rude.
So I'm happy to get into all these details.
We were talking about history. Oh, he's doing a joke.
What I need to parse out though, because I'm hoping we can parse this out, is that there are things that I'm going to describe as functions of history. So, for instance, like the Chinese were force-fed opium by the British Empire because the British Empire were worried about running a silver deficit internationally. And so they forced the Chinese at gunpoint to purchase opium. Okay, that's obviously not morally good. When we're talking about empire and empire being perhaps an instrumental good, we're talking about it. I would say that we could talk about all these like human war crimes, abuses, sex, rape, all that kind of stuff. We can talk about their portions of history and be.
Okay, so just to break it down for you really simply, the argument here is, I should do this full time, live debate reactions. I'm smart enough and I've got tits for it too. Okay, anyways, so basically the argument here is that, so is Zionism compatible with Christianity? Connor is making the argument that, that land is the Holy Land and it's the land of the Jewish religion. And so he's sort of making a more conceptual, abstract argument that the Jewish people should be able to return there, whereas my dad is saying Zionism is part of, like, it's like the last colonial project left. And if you look at other colonial projects, they are about domination and subjugation and torture and exploitation of other peoples, and that is in no way Christian. And so no matter what the reasoning is, the purported reasoning for the Zionist movement, it is essentially another settler colonial project that the Jews inherited from the British, and that's not fundamental, that's not compatible with Christianity. So that's the argument here on both sides, as I'm seeing it.
Trying to move it back to Zionism in Israel. You brought up the British mandated Palestine, but the only reason why the British mandated Palestine existed was because of the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. And the Ottoman Empire itself was a historical successor to the caliphates. So like there's a whole bunch of history to break down there, where effectively the dominant force for, I don't know, 1,500 years was effectively Islam. And then we have to look at that, Jerusalem and Judea and former Israel being things that were attacked by the Romans, attacked by the Greeks, then attacked by the Romans, and then the diaspora, and then Islam, and then Zionism. So we have a lot of history to get into. So I kind of gave you a lot. I want to see what thread you yank on first. So we could do, I think we should do Israel first, because technically that's like 3,000 years worth of history, arguably. And then we could move into colonialism, which I would argue is probably the last 1,000.
They only have 88.
Yes, we got, you have 2 more minutes.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's okay. I would rather, we got a lot of ground to cover, so I'd rather let him respond and then get into it.
Gosh, they used to get like 800 watching. Counterpoints is he maybe co-streaming this? Maybe me and Counterpoints are sucking all the viewers. He usually co-streams his debates. Bruh. What an idiot. He forgot to go live. Okay. Well, I can't blame it on that.
Act secular and had repudiated the religion of Judaism. Jewish rabbis at the time Zionism became a movement, which actually started, interestingly, with English Christians.
Thank you for the 2.
Before even Jews got a hold of it. But the rabbis throughout the world almost unanimously told their Jewish congregations not to participate in this movement, because it was only through the Messiah would come and lead them back to the Holy Land, and until then they were not to take it.
Merry Christmas.
They were not to take that project into their own hands. So in defiance of the rabbis, the Jews, and I think that's an interesting statement, because they really were anti-Jews. They were Jews who hated their own Jewishness, which is the essence of what a Jewish person is, took it upon themselves to engage in a colonial project. And the reason the English were into it is because they could both,
That's what he said before I did this.
I mean, primarily
I was like, I should react live, and he was like, oh, like Rachel Wilson. Should I go Mr. E mode? He's killing it, guys. Thoughts?
in the expansion of their empire. Of course, it really didn't get going until really far too late. And colonialism already had been destroyed by both World War I and World War II. So as far as where we want to go in talking about things, I have no problem with saying we can start with Zionism, then move, because I do believe the larger movement is settler colonialism, European colonialism, which is not 1,000 years old, but it started obviously at the discovery of the New World in the late 15th century, really not until much later. Of course, there has been colonialism in some sense throughout history. The Roman Empire engaged in colonial projects, you could say, but European colonialism really is what we're talking about, I think, here. And I acknowledge that history itself is I would just say I'm not sure if this is what the argument Connor's making, but if we want to say like history is filled with non-utopian situations, of course that's true. But when we're arguing Christianity, Christians should hold themselves to quite a high standard, which acknowledged every individual Christian is not going to pursue. But you would have obviously you would judge any historical action by Christian people on the basis of Christianity, and settler colonialism doesn't both look stupid from a historical point of view and also unchristian. So we can just go ahead and get right into it. I have no problem with the back and forth.
Okay. And then, sorry, I'm getting some feedback from chat saying that all they can see is the banner. And I'm a little confused by them.
Tell Connor he's not actually
maybe
live.
It could be on my end, but I just want to make sure. Oh. So
okay, he just
I know what it was. I clicked on the apologies to my chat. Okay, we've already done intros. My bad. I was supposed to click a button. So, anyways, what we've done so far is we've talked about Zionism and we've talked about settler colonialism, and I think that's right now we're about to get into openings. So yeah, let's start. If you'll indulge me in narrative real quick, I'm sure you'll reject the narrative by the time that I'm done.
Okay.
But I still want to go through the narrative. So the narrative is that you have Abraham and the original Jews in the approximate area of the Eastern Mediterranean and the Sinai and all that kind of stuff. And that's when the covenant is first made, and that's where the promise between the Euphrates and the Nile happens. And what ends up happening as a part of the covenant, which is supposed to be prophecy, is that, you're going to be enslaved and you're going to suffer for 400 years and this, that, the other, which is, if you believe the prophecy, then that's supposed to be the time when they're in Egypt. Now, it's estimated that the Semitic exodus of people from
Oh, Toilet Bowl Earth is in the DMs. He's alive. Come on, 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 come on. Watch this with me. Watch this with me. I'm not gonna forgive that. If he does not watch this with me. Come on, Toilet. I know you're watching. Keep me company, Pookie. Look at my outfit. I wore this for you. Please.
as a historical
A lot
event.
of pressure right
Now, what's kind of not disputed is that approximately around that time, that's where the kingdom of Israel and Judea and all that stuff, and the kingdoms and the tribes, they first get established, and then that kind of exists up until the time of Jesus, but they're successfully conquered. They're conquered by the Persians, they're conquered by the Babylonians, they're partially put into exile, they're conquered by the Greeks, then they're conquered by the Romans, and that's realistically the time of Jesus. And so Jesus comes along with the New Testament, and then we have another, I think it's the second temple. They obviously have a few temples, but the second temple is destroyed. And then what happens is the Jews live for approximately another 1,000 years, largely concentrating in that area. But after the Crusader sacks of
91 on YouTube, 51 on Kick. Hit the likes, guys. We got 140 in the box. Let's go.
Starts in earnest, where the Jews spread all over the world, including in Jerusalem, including in Europe, including in North Africa, including in Spain, including Ethiopia, including et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're all over the place.
Bro is
And
yapping.
so the argument has been that effectively the Jewish people have lived in exile since the sack of Jerusalem up until the 19th century. And I do concede that I have heard it stated many times that the vast majority of Zionists do not believe in biblical prophecy.
Oh my god, I was wondering what's stinking here, and I was like, oh my god, I just took a shower. Like, what is that? It's the ground beef that I used for my music video that I did not throw out. I'm like, what the hell? Am I mold? Am I rotting? Okay. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely that.
Divine right, it's because of historical affinity, I suppose. There were debates about like putting in Israel in the United States. There were debates about a new Israel, I think in Siberia. There was debates about new Israel all over the place.
Madagascar, Uganda.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But ultimately what ended up happening as a level of historical function is that Zionism ended up being the most popular, or Israeli Zionism ended up being the most popular destination. And then that was accelerated during World War II. So I don't think that...
I'm sorry, guys. I really should have been on OBS. That TTS would have been funny. I really do apologize. I don't know what got into me. I think it's that I wanted to set it up beforehand and didn't know how to do that without using StreamYard anyways.
Support the Zionist project. They believe that the Jews are entitled to that land as prophesied in the covenant.
The American Christians?
Yes.
You're saying? Yeah. Christian Zionism is somewhat different than the actual Jewish Zionism, like Theodor Herzl and all that kind of stuff. It's largely, I hate to say this, but it's largely just a function of being bought off. I think one of the biggest televangelists in America was given a huge jet in order to blend this. Christian Zionism is very hard to justify. You can do it. Ted Cruz, who's probably the biggest supporter of Zionism, went on Tucker Carlson and he could only quote one verse from the Bible, which said, if you bless Israel, God will bless you. And that's pretty much all he said. I'm not saying he's a theologian, but obviously the subsequent question was, what is Israel mean, the government of Benjamin Netanyahu? And his answer was yes, which is a very, very difficult argument to make. Israel and Zionism, I think we might agree, Zionism was a movement of nationalism. And so as nationalism became the cool thing to do in Europe, European Jews, not Arab Jews, not Jews elsewhere, said we got to get in on this. And ironically, because of where they were located in Central and Eastern Europe, they picked up on a lot of the ideas that the National Socialists.
Really quick, guys, I just saw in their chat, it says, me mom Holly. I think that joke is lame. And it's not because it's making fun of the Holocaust, but do I have to say that? But I just think it's like, I think it's like the Jim Bob Jorts joke. Like it's like being overdone. Me mom and me dad died in the holly, and they're making like AI videos about it. It just, it's cringe, in my opinion. I don't think it's really that funny. What do you guys think?
And that when the Goy arose against them, they were just wiped out. And so, in a certain sense, Zionism was this idea of muscular. You look at Benjamin Netanyahu, he tries to present himself as really what is interesting is kind of a.
Exactly. Crucible level humor. Yeah. And like, Nick is funnier, a lot funnier than Andrew Wilson. But it's like, yeah, it's like they overdid it. They overdid it. I was watching this live stream the other day. It was like, some guy, I forget his name, he was like explaining the Zoomers' lack of empathy for the Holocaust with, you know, he was doing this whole stream about the Finkelstein thing, and the whole chat was just, me mom, me dad, Holly, my mom, dad, my mom died in the Holly, she, in her mouth, she had a lolly. It's like, guys, please.
The opposite of us. He was inspired by us. Eugenics was started by us. Many of these eugenic projects occurred on the left in America, and Hitler loved it. He just went further than we went on it, but we had it clearly started castrating and all this stuff. People who were deemed mentally inferior. We believe that genetics, cleaning up the
on my chest, yes,
human genome, getting rid of the inferiors. That was all part of the American left, and he loved it. And so the idea that he's on the right is kind of bizarre. He's just a very, very modern person, but he loved what America and England were up to. As far as your previous history of like the Jews, like there's a lot of stuff that's off there, but like it doesn't really matter. I'm just saying it has really nothing to do. I would agree with you. There was a vague sense, the Holy Land, maybe like I might say, if I was going to go back to my homeland, it would be Norway, but I don't have any experience of Norwegian culture really, or like, you know, a fourth generation Irishman might go back to Ireland and in some sense feel like it's a homeland and expect everyone to welcome him with a pint of Guinness, but it's sort of silly.
Bro, Connor has 27 watching. Connor usually gets like 200 viewers. I'm not sure what's going on, but he has 27 viewers. I have 85, and Modern Day Debate has like 90. Did YouTube stop botting or something? Like, why do we all just nobody wants to watch anybody cover this? Like, what?
Was seen as impious. God will lead us through the Messiah. So I'm not sure whether we're tackling the I'm not sure what the point you're trying to make to be to come. Maybe sort of missing each other. You believe that Christianity would endorse what's going on in Gaza somehow?
No. But weirdly enough, this is actually something that I think that we could get into that you pointed to a little bit through your segment right there. So Christianity and Judaism, because we're talking about the Old Testament and the New Testament, they're dualist religions. So when you say like, oh, Jews are supposed to be pious and nerdy and kind of pacifistic and reclusive and all that kind of stuff. You can say that, but at the same time, the Old Testament is also filled with philosophers and warrior kings and brave men. Yes, Solomon, David.
There's no philosophy.
David and Solomon were pacifists, some of the two greatest Jews who ever existed.
No, I'm saying philosophy comes from the Greeks, not from the Jews.
Why does he keep getting his
Okay,
cane?
the love. Okay,
what?
The love of knowledge.
No, I'm saying philosophy.
What is this? What is this thing that he keeps showing? What is that? Some kind of fidget toy? Very Brian Atlas coded.
Comes from the Greeks, not from the Jews.
Well, those are all
Logos
Greek.
is a Greek word.
You can still say the love of knowledge is also deeply rooted in Judaism and Christianity.
Yeah, to some degree. Okay, yeah, there's wisdom literature, you could say. I don't think philosophy
logos,
per se,
spoken truth is literally like some of the first words in the Bible.
Well, the first words of the Bible were written in Hebrew. You're talking about the first words of the prolegomena of
Oh, my
John. In the
shoulders.
beginning was the Word, the Logos, and the Logos was God. And right, but that's a combination of Messianic Judaism with, of course, the Hellenistic background. So John was familiar somewhat with the Greek philosophical language, which has remained with us. So I'm not trying to be a smarty pants. I'm not sure what your point is.
No, it's fine. I mean, I appreciate the smarty pants stuff, but the whole point is like that's still, you're saying it's a Greek translation. It's a Greek word, logos obviously being like Greek, but you know,
No, the New Testament was written in Greek.
What's that?
The New Testament was written in Greek. It wasn't translated.
Right, but I'm talking about Genesis, which is in the Old
that
Testament.
was not written in Greek. Hebrew.
Right, but Genesis is the beginning of the Bible, right?
Yes.
Okay. And in Genesis, it
Whoa,
says that,
cunty.
you know, the origin of creation was the spoken truth, was the logos. God was the word.
You're exciting John.
Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm literally going to Google first Genesis.
Genesis 1. There's no first Genesis.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's quoting
take
John.
this
In the beginning,
moment
God
real
created the
quick.
heaven and earth. Now the
Sorry,
earth was
Connor.
formless and empty. What's that?
Sorry, I thought you were going to take a little longer. I just want to remind everybody that we're doing the Q&A after this, after the.
Yeah, no, Connor's wrong. He's saying in the beginning, the word that's from John. That's from the New Testament. In the beginning, look at him looking. Genesis says, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form." Blah 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 blah. It doesn't say anything about the word because the word was logos, which was in Greek in the New Testament, written by John.
Void and God breathed upon the waters, and right. So
Right.
you're looking for in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That's John, the Gospel of John.
Get wrecked.
John 1:1.
Get wrecked.
Okay.
Connor.
Yeah, which was in
Softball.
some sense retelling of Genesis.
But you're saying he Greekified it on purpose.
Well, John, amongst all of the writers of the New Testament, was the most, I would say, sophisticated and understood somewhat. I'm not sure he read Socrates, but like you find here the Greek world and the Hebrew world, you know, Athens and Jerusalem come together there.
Weirdly enough, that goes with like a personal theory of mine that I think you're going to agree with, that effectively like the amount of concepts that Christianity blends with the Old Testament, a lot of it is Hellenic.
Christianity,
What is the
there was
point?
there was
What is the
definitely,
point?
and also the Roman Empire in its institutions. Like, if I live in a diocese, you live in a diocese, Mike lives in a diocese. The word diocese is Roman, so the idea of breaking up a large group into smaller groups
I know, isn't
and
that weird,
administering
Ty?
it is
All
from
of a
Roman.
sudden
So
you're paying
as
more
Catholics, we
attention.
unabashedly say that the root of our religion is the Hebrew scriptures, but that we take Greek philosophy and Roman institutional thinking and roads and all that stuff with us to create like sort of European what has been European Christianity.
I want to ask you a personal question because I think it's relevant to the way that we approach the conversation.
Sure.
So you're saying that you're Catholic, but I know a lot of like Creaster Catholics, right? They go on Christmas, they go on Easter, they don't study the scripture, they don't do any of that kind of stuff. Do you believe that there is a creator God, that he communicated with humanity directly, that he sent his son to die for our sins, and that we are like ransomed in like from sin through his blood, through his sacrifice?
That's one way you could talk about the first part. Absolutely. I mean, you can read. Have you never heard of like the Nicene Creed? This is like the basics of what.
Have you ever
Most
heard of the
Christians
Nicene
believe.
My
Creed?
dog just wants to come in.
The
dog
ransom idea is
This is
one
such
way
a
of
shit
talking
show.
about
Do you believe
salvation
that
or
Jesus was
justification.
God? That's what I'm asking.
Oh, absolutely, of course.
Okay, so that's
Hypostatic
where
union, motherfucker.
Those Creaster Catholics do too, generally.
well, probably, but
You're
at
not
the same
kidding.
time, the reason why I'm asking that question is because like this is something that from a non-literalist perspective, because I'm not a literalist, like I think
I don't know how they're doing the Trinity. This is supposed to be about whether Zionism and in a larger sense, like settler colonialism is compatible with Christianity. I don't know what the Trinity has to do with that.
he should and shouldn't be like, but I don't think that the creator God of the universe put his divine spark in one human being any more than he put it in any
Who
other human
cares
being.
what you believe
So I'm
in?
approaching this information from a different perspective.
Yeah, I don't know what if you're a deist. Of course, you're not a literalist. You don't believe in the New Testament, literally.
Right. Well, not literally, right? But
Well, in any real sense.
You're not a Christian if you don't believe that Christ is God.
Well, you heard
Did
George.
this poor sap think he was a Christian?
I'm not throwing any shade on it, but you're not a Christian.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it would be a stretch. You see him as a teacher or something like that.
Yeah, one of the probably the greatest of the prophets.
Because the crux of the New
Okay.
Testament, you must be aware, is that Jesus Christ was God, died on the cross to save us from our sins and offer us salvation and eternal life in heaven with the Father. It's not
Right.
really just like this is an interesting myth. It's like pretty important.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, right.
But
You
that's-
understand that. Okay, I'm not trying to.
Yeah. That's kind of all right. But then that's kind of what I want to get at, though.
Sure.
Is so we have these people. They live in the region 3,200 years ago.
Can we land the plane, Connor? What the fuck are you talking about? Okay, you're not a Christian, so? But then again, why are you saying that Zionism is compatible with Christianity if you're not a Christian? What?
If there are
I guess you could arbitrarily defend that position, but
Orthodox and they believe in this, and you're actually
you really should. Like, Connor is just, he's out of his league here, I can tell. I just don't think he knows a lot about religion. I don't think he knows a lot about Christianity. So to debate whether X is compatible with Christianity, I just don't think he's qualified to really discuss it.
like atheist
That's what I'm picking up on.
list.
Yeah,
They're
okay.
not-
But let's be just a little more careful. And I don't think I'm really rebutting what you're saying. Even in the scriptural account, you're familiar that the word Jews comes from the tribe of Judah, which is one of 12 tribes. Okay, so the other tribes were seen as having abandoned the faith at a certain point after, I think it maybe even have been before the time of David. And so actually what we call Palestinian.
Guys, $5 or one gifted sub, I'll take my hair out of the bun. Because I want to show you. All of a sudden I have curly hair. If you want to see my new curly hair, $5 or one gifted sub.
Tribes. And this idea that Arabs came and
Check the
from
cash out.
somewhere else there, actually the DNA evidence is quite clear.
So dry.
These people are actually much closer to the ones, the people who are part of that kingdom, the kingdom of Israel, okay, which then became the kingdom of Judah. It'd be a little bit like saying if the South had won, or even like just Texas to Florida had rebelled and won, okay, that's what the United States in a sense became in terms of Israel, because it was just a part of it that remained faithful. Then those people remained practicing, okay, and you're missing the big part. They had a number
The
of
Book of Genocide? That's actually, that's a good one. That's a good one to use. That's a good one. If I was in that debate, I'd be reading chat. If I was in this debate, I'd be reading chat and I'd use it. Let's go be Heron! Let's go be Heron. All right, curly hair reveal. I'll have it play in the background. Hold on.
the idea, it happened gradually over time. And this idea that we were booted all at once is not true, which I think you're right to say. But anyways, it's just a very complicated history. So the irony is the average Ashkenazi Jew, which is these Central and Eastern European Jews, are only genetically about 20% actually of their genetics is from the Middle East. They're largely Eastern Europeans genetically, and you can actually see a lot of the features of Eastern Europeans in these people. You could pretty much visually tell an Ashkenazi Jew from a.
This happened naturally, by the way. I don't know what's going on. I've never had curly hair in my life. It's obviously kind of matted and fried, but like all of a sudden it's, I don't know if it's curly, but it's like, it's got ringlets and stuff. So I don't know what to do about that, but it's kind of a mess. I was going to straighten it, but then I was like, you know what? I don't know. Something is kind of cool. I've never had curly hair before.
because what
They're the
happened-
ruling class. Oh no, they're the underclass.
Well, and that's where I was going to actually move into the next historical point, I suppose. So if we skip all the way into the 19th century, where effectively we
kinda
say
puffy,
maybe the
though,
diaspora
big.
happened over a broad series of time, it didn't all happen during the Crusades,
Right.
and then we have this secular Ashkenazi movement that moves back in the 19th century. But then along
Yeah.
with that, what ends up happening is the British mandated Palestine after the Ottoman collapse. Then that tension though. This is one of the things that I see a lot of critics of Israel kind of
Well, the
glossed
Ottoman
over
Empire
really
didn't
quickly.
collapse. It was destroyed by the Allied powers.
Well,
But
right.
it was weak.
But
It was weak.
the destruction of the Ottoman Empire was effectively like, even before World War I, they were calling it like the old sick man of Europe, right?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't even like fully a
That's funny.
European power. They were obviously in Turkey, but they held like, Greece at the time. So they all kind of knew that it was on the verge of collapse, and they knew that the war would push it over the edge. And so they were like, what was going to happen once we push the Ottoman Empire over the edge?
Right.
And so my point there, though, is that in the 19th century, if you ask the Israeli sympathetic people and the Israelites themselves, they would say that many of the colonies that they had, many of the kibbutzim—
You mean Israelis? Israelites would be an Old Testament term.
Okay, the Israelis.
Zionists? I'm not sure.
Oh my God. This isn't even a debate. Connor doesn't know what he's talking about.
Who were immigrating to Palestine, I suppose,
Zionists, I think.
at the time. Okay. So the Zionists would say that as the Ottoman Empire was collapsing, they went in relative good faith and purchased—
I'm not saying my dad isn't doing a good job. I'm just saying that I think I trigger Connor. Because I remember him being way angrier last time. Maybe he was just in a different mood, but like I got him to like he was like talking about being a cop, and I said that wasn't very impressive. He was like I was a cop for 3 years, and I was like, I don't know if you think that's a flex, but it's not really that impressive. And I don't know. I think I could wind him up. Maybe, I don't know. But then again, that's not really a debate. So
And so what ended up happening there was an ethno-religious tension where, yes, technically, legally, the people who were living on the land didn't have the property rights to the property, but they were evicted
He's
through a
very
legal
insecure
process.
person.
But that's kind of like—
you're going to get into here it is true that originally wealthy European Jews gathered a lot of money to purchase land. Okay, but the tradition—
Ben's being too nice. I think that he's just realizing that Connor is underprepared. And he told me before this that he was gonna be nice. He was like, I should act better, right? I was like, I don't know. Like, why? I say go for it. Come on. Let's get some blood in this battle. Isn't police academy only like 6 months of schooling? I don't know what it is, but like in America, if you say like I was a police officer for 15 years, it's like, okay, fine, I can respect that. But like 3 years, like I don't, nobody really cares. It's like, okay, so you were a police officer for a little while and then you stopped.
Yeah, that the workers would remain there. And what happened was the Zionists is they kicked everyone.
It is part of his grift, yeah. I'm pretty sure he said 3 years. It was something quite short like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't even think really cops consider you a real cop if you're only a cop for 3 years.
It's not true of all colonial projects, but the idea is that
he has this cope that it was because of his family that he stopped, because of his like kids and his wife. But like, why would your wife want you to quit a good job like being a cop to be a live streamer? You know what I mean? What, are you going to get killed in the field? Like, that's very rare.
If they fight on the side of the British against
make any sense.
the Turks or the Muslims, they say we're going to give you all this land, which is like your land, and then they screwed them over with the Balfour Declaration and
True.
Subsequently by planting a settler colony there. Okay, and but the British always did this. They always made ridiculous promises to both sides, and it was a disastrous mess. But this is called realpolitik. It was
British
like
did do
a
that.
British. I do believe that the British Empire is fundamentally insane, as is the American Empire, because on the one hand, you're saying you're Christian. On the other hand, you've got a brutal empire. On the one hand, and it's found. I think it's foundationally crazy in that the British broke. We all know that the King of England declared himself the Pope of England because he couldn't have a son. That's not a reason to break from 1,000 years of tradition. But once you do it, I guess you got to kind of justify it in some way. And so you say, maybe we're a special people. And I do believe the birth of a certain type of racism came from that, because it's only that group in Europe which thought that they had a God-given right to rule over the entire world. The Portuguese, the Spanish, the French, all of whom had big colonies.
I don't know, Hans. I could see it either way. I don't know. I like the fight. But you can't really force it if there's nothing to fight about.
my dad is a nice guy. It's just that people are usually incredibly rude to him, so he matches the energy. But Connor's being like super, respectful or whatever, so he's matching that energy.
Given any of the rights of an actual nation.
Yeah, no, this is,
they can
I
have a
just wanna
gambling
say
casino.
We got 15,
Oh, he said it's
16
too hot.
minutes
Okay,
left
I
on
gotta turn the heat
the
down. 1 sec. I'll be
open
right back.
discussion.
Yep.
So just want to
Wait, what comes after the open discussion? Because we just
5
got
minutes.
started.
Yeah, I mean, we can go another 20 rather than 15 if you guys want. It seems you're being very cordial. I appreciate that. But I do want to see if we can get it to refocus on the specific of, is Zionism compatible with Christianity?
Well, I think Connor conceded this by saying, like, you can't justify what's going on in Gaza from Christianity.
Well-
okay, so that's Zionism in action.
Well,
So
hold
I
on.
don't know.
So let's.
Yeah, Connor just lost the
we can
debate.
we can
Let's
dig
just
into
move
that,
on.
but I know the
It's
historical
over.
rants might not be everybody's cup of autism,
Oh,
but
One
it's
more thing I
definitely
want to
mine.
say is Basil Problem. You're not fooling anyone with your new screen name, 1 over and squared. We know it's you. But you're not sending super chats now, so I'm not going to read any of those comments. Just want to let you know. So send your super chats now, guys. We got about 20 minutes left on the open discussion, and then we'll get into the closing statements.
Yeah. So I'll try to focus on it, but realistically, like, all we did was we just opened this box. That's all we've done so far. We haven't even started playing with the toys yet.
Well, can
so-
you justify what's going on in Gaza
Well,
from the basis
yeah,
of
let's-
Christianity? I
Give
mean, I don't think it's-
me 1 second, because I'll talk about the dualism, then I'll move into Gaza specifically. Okay.
Yeah, I'm interested though. What do you mean by
So
dualism?
when it comes to the concept of dualism within religion, where I first heard this was actually in reference to Islam, because if you actually read the Quran, like, the first half of it's okay, there's some violent stuff in there, but realistically the second half of it is kind of brutal. And what I heard
Yeah,
from
Connor has no viewers. Connor has 37. I mean, it's a low viewership night for all parties involved, but his numbers are terrible. I've seen him with 200 in there.
for the prophet
bigger
is
than
not
me.
making an edict for all times everywhere, let's just massacre everyone.
Yeah.
He's specifically talking to his warriors, his people, his tribe right before they go into battle, and as a result you have to evaluate it within the context of its time. But what that does for modern Muslims is that
Why
they
are we talking
can
about Islam?
look to the earlier, more peaceful passages. For instance, like, everybody's favorite surah is that, he who saves a life, it's as if he saved all of humanity, and he who takes a life, it's as if he's killed all of humanity. That there's a not so peaceful passage immediately after that, but let's ignore that for now. And you could
Okay.
live like a really pacifistic, chill life, just saying, like, no, the prophet said that only God knows where people are going, so I'm not going to be a judgmental prick, and also I'm going to do my best to save lives. And so as a result, you could take a few surahs and be a really chill Muslim.
Who
However,
cares?
if you were
fuck are you
more
talking
interested in warfare, as was the case in the 20th century, you can take a bunch of surahs from when Muhammad was at war, and then you could use
What
that to
in the
justify
fuck are you
holy
oh
war.
my God.
Sure.
And so
Hey,
I think
just
that
rambling.
I just want to say, I'm not trying to rush you guys or put like a strict cap on it. We can go a little longer. Just we have a general format, and if you guys have the time, I mean, I'm not trying to rush
I'm
you.
good.
number one, I got
I'm
the
good.
time.
Okay.
But number two, I
we
am
know,
bringing this
Connor.
specifically to Gaza and Christianity. So I think that if you look at the Crusades, there is not very much in the New Testament that you could use to justify the Crusades. Like Jesus,
okay.
Jesus Christ himself would say, like, he who lives by the sword dies by. When your enemy strikes you on the cheek, you give him another. When a man walks with you 1 mile, or asks you to walk with him 1 mile, you go 2.
Okay.
When somebody asks you for the cloak off of your back, you also give them your jacket.
Let's go there real quick, okay? Because
Crusades talk.
I don't
Let's
think
go.
that you would characterize Catholicism as a pacifist religion, would you?
No, probably because of the dualism that I'm alluding to, but go ahead.
I don't know what you mean by dualism. Is usually the idea that the material and the spiritual worlds are sort of like at war with each other. I'm not sure if that's what you mean by it.
No, the way that I mean it is that there's moral flexibility within separate contexts.
Thank you, J Mod.
Yeah, like the
Made
idea
more
that
money in
like
the
all
first 5
religions can
minutes
be
than them all
interpreted kind
stream.
of liberally
Let's go.
or more conservatively.
Is that
or
too
in a
loud?
more,
It sounds
right,
too
even
Or
loud.
Christians.
violently or pacifistically.
It's pretty hard to.
Thanks,
Yes,
Montero.
Islam. You can have a kind of.
You know what? Let's make even more money. Can we do $1? Wait, $5? $10 for 5 squats or $10 for 10 jumping jacks on camera. I'll put another banner up.
let's make some more money and burn some calories.
writings of the New Testament lean away from violence
I'll
as a solution
add
to
your
things.
$2.
Though in certain
No,
contexts,
no, never mind. It has to be 10 or 5.
it
I
is
can't do
allowed.
math.
So the justification for the Crusades was that the Holy Land had been under Muslim rule, and Christians, and this is historically, again, like not very well known, Christians at the time found it very important to take pilgrimages. It was a huge part
Okay,
of
there you
Christian
go.
culture. And for centuries, they were allowed to do so. Much like today, you can go to Israel and visit the holy sites, even though it's sort of an anti-Christian country. They don't allow any proselytizing, but they're happy to take our tourist dollars and also try to persuade us to be Zionists. But you can go, and Catholicism, there's plenty of Catholic and Orthodox monasteries and stuff in the Holy Land. The Seljuk Turks, I believe, started killing pilgrims, peaceful pilgrims on their way to the Holy Land. And so the Crusades, at least in their origin, were an attempt to protect pilgrims, to allow them access to something which at the time, we don't really understand it as much as Christians, was considered really, really important. It was a little bit like Muslims now who go to the Cube, I forget
Mecca.
what you call it, Mecca, right? Like it's
Yeah,
kind
they
of
go on
like
the Hajj.
that.
The cube.
You didn't have to do it, whereas like it's part of the Muslim religion, but like it was considered to be like something very important and pious, and we should have access to those holy sites because relics and things were very important. Holy sites were very important.
Well, and if they're
which they continue to be in Catholicism, but not to the extent it was then.
and if you want to
the
take
I don't have any
actual
problem with
debate
the
is on
Crusades.
modern day debate.
well, and if you want to
theory.
take a more defensive posture in reference to the Crusades, that's fine.
you
But I
do.
think there were also just as likely, proselytizers, preachers, priests at the time, who just knew that the average person wasn't too familiar with the Bible and specific verses or was literate or anything like that. And so as a result, it came down to the Eastern Roman Empire, which was ruled by Christians for a large part and ruled all the way down through Egypt. Basically, 70% of their territory had evaporated over the course of a few centuries due to
Yeah.
Arab incursion.
Yeah.
And as a result, that's another tribe, and we're fighting for God, and those people are heretics. So go fight those people over there, and we'll rubber stamp you either in the material plane. You could get wealth, titles, nobility, access, all that stuff. But in the spiritual plane, you're also guaranteed an easy pass to heaven. And so that's where like the more like cynical. I don't think you find that in scripture, but I do think that you find that historically from leaders of the time.
Okay, so if someone is like, if there's a group of people that are attacking churches here in America, I would defend those churches with my life gladly.
Sure, but would you
weapons.
take life in order to preserve it? Because that's
Absolutely
where you get into
no problem.
how
if
you.
someone is trying to murder Christians, I will defend the Christians. Priests, the church herself doesn't really carry weapons unless you think the Swiss guards are scary. They're just a decorative, right? So the church largely, but it is true that the popes, in order to encourage men with, like kings with like these armies who are going to lose a lot, they did offer them that if they conquered lands there, good for you, good on you, right? And eventually, those kings want stuff, right? They want money, they want tribute, they want all that stuff. So the church was sort of ambivalent about that. Like, sure, go ahead, take land from the Muslims. But in a sense, I know it sounds trite, but like they did start it. So we were okay with it.
You're not going to find
any.
any. You're not going to find any caliphate sweeping on my end. But
The
okay.
Muslims can get aggressive at times. I don't know exactly what the Turks were thinking, but like, occasionally you get groups who feel like, okay, and there is a certain argument within. I think that Muslim imperialism makes a certain amount of sense.
It does.
They don't
Well, and
mind
that's-
the idea of converting at the.
I wish I had upped the saturation on my dad's camera just a little bit to make him look tanner, because I'm super pale, but if you just up the saturation. Anyways.
Decision to embrace. Now, that's not always played itself out perfectly by any stretch of the imagination, but that is our thing. That's how we conquered the Roman Empire.
That's the point that I wanted to make, though. With the stakes so high, if you're a literalist.
Mustache is
Okay,
looking
so
great,
once again,
too.
I'm not a literalist. But if you are a Jewish person, then effectively we are not members of the tribe. Well, if you're a literalist, I should say. If you're a literalist Jewish person, then there's like the Noamite laws or something like that, and they're effectively
Noahide.
Yeah, the Noahide.
Get schooled,
those are the
Connor.
rules that like non-Jews are supposed to
No, he
follow
looks
in order
good.
to
No,
be good.
I put some bronzer on and some concealer to hide the eye bags. It's just that the saturation is unfortunately a little too low.
They're not really concerned with our salvation or connection with God, right? They're the chosen
Judaism
people.
is not an expansionist religion.
Right. Whereas Christianity is universalist, but it's universalist in the fact that but the only way to God or
I was homeschooled by my dad. He was very, very nice. He taught me grammar. Good times.
there, only belief, only faith, right? Whereas,
okay, right, but works matter. You're using a Protestant lens for.
Well, there's contradictory scripture right there, right, where they say, what is it? It's like faith does not require works, and that's like one scripture, but then the other scripture is that like faith without works is dead.
Yes,
and that's like another scripture. So
but primarily Catholics and Protestants and Orthodox all agree that God gives all human beings salvation freely without them deserving it. Yes, that would be true.
But then when it comes to Islam, though, effectively what they're saying is that we believe the same things that Jews believe. There is one creator God who cares about humanity. However, the Christians are a heretical sect who have started worshiping a great prophet as if he were God. And so that's kind of where, in my opinion, these beliefs, if you believe them literally, they actually are super important because it determines where human souls go when they die. And so if they're separated from God, if they're cast into hell, if they're, given eternal punishment, or if they're unified with the Godhead, or they're, going to heaven or whatever, this is probably, at least according to Islam, I know for sure, and to Christianity to greater and lesser degrees, this existence is a shadow. It's a shadow of the world to come. It's not even real, like it's real, but it's not as real as the world to come. And so the world here is.
That's what you mean by dualism?
What's that?
That's what you mean by dualism?
No, I was meaning it pacifism versus violence. I think there's so for instance, like Jesus also has, I think, the parable of the Minas. And he also has that thing where he's like, I did not come to unify the world. I didn't come to, bring the olive branch. I came to bring the sword. I will set brother against brother and blah, 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 blah. There's ways to, in his later passages right before he's killed, there's ways to interpret what Christ said as effectively like, hey, I'm going to die right now, but when I come back, it's fucking on. And so you could like...
Oh, undoubtedly, yes.
So you could interpret
We will be judged. We will be judged.
Well, right, but that's where that, and you also add in the temple where he's like whipping the money changers and all that kind of stuff. You can arrive at a non-pacifistic Christian translation. You have to ignore a few specific scriptures from Jesus, but you can get there.
Well, I mean, there really were no Christian pacifists throughout history. Some people, of course, Christian pacifists would
the
say,
early martyrs were crucified and fed in the Colosseums, like fed to lions in the Colosseum.
But that doesn't mean they wouldn't have burned heretics at the stake if they had power to do so. It's just a strategy. Prior to the embrace of the Roman Empire of Christianity, which was largely done without warfare, I think it was conversion which took place. That was.
Let's go, Damius with the 1,000 kicks. Let's go. Thank you, Damius. Do you want squats or jumping jacks? I'm sorry. I'm doing some Facebook Marketplace stuff. I got distracted. I'm sorry. Squats or chat chooses? Okay, 1 for squats, 2 for jumping jacks. 1 for squats, 2 for jumping jacks. Come on, guys, make it happen. I'll do it as we watch.
Too wealthy and powerful, and then everyone turns against her, and then we start off as a poor. You know what I mean? So even here in New England,
1, 2, 2.
Catholicism used to be incredibly powerful. I remember being in Fenway Park.
2.
The Blue Angels flew over, and Cardinal Law came out in all his regalia. And 3 years later, it's like everyone hates the Catholic Church in the Northeast. So, I mean, that sort of happens, but we generally would say that we don't have a problem. Obviously, the Vatican has enormous wealth in terms of the museums and the churches, and we don't have a problem with that. So we're not Amish.
Well, you asked me how do you get a Christian perspective on condoning genocide in Gaza? And by the way, this is not my perspective. I'm just articulating it, okay?
Yeah.
So
There you go.
and by the way, you
5
could say
for
this
good
is
luck.
ahistorical and partially ascriptural, but I still think you could get there and see what I'm pushing at. So
That's right, get
the
the blood
same way
moving.
that
Look at the belly.
Judaism, promised the Jews. I
Odd
don't know
build
what the
for
right term
sure,
is,
yeah,
but
that's why we're working on
promised,
it.
the old covenant between the
It was the Israelites at the
Built
time
like a
you
sack
were
of
talking.
laundry.
They were called the Israelites.
Guys, I'm gonna just
Right.
ask that we figure out a way to dovetail this back into the.
That's why I'm doing the workouts. Thank you. And that's why I have the workout set to keep myself accountable. Breath. I have like 3 workouts. Because I was inspired because I did it on stream. I was like, okay, we should do this more often. I got 3 workout sets. Haven't done a damn workout yet. Yeah, the calorie count's not good. Yesterday I had 2410. The day before I had 2600. I'm so fucking fat. I'm so fucking fat. Legit, I'm so fat. Need to hold myself accountable.
the Philistines. And it's even argued that etymologically, the Romans wanted to punish the Jewish folk, the Judeans and the Israelites. They wanted to punish them for their rebellions, which is why they named the territory what was it? It was like Syria, Palestina or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, but that itself was a word root all the way back to Philistine. So then you
Right.
could say, oh, well, the Israelites are just the new Jews fulfilling the old covenant, and they're fighting the Philistines. And because Muhammad is, peace be upon him, by the way, is such an obvious warlord charlatan who took a young wife and this, that, the other thing that you say about Islam. Therefore, this is just, God's people doing what God's people do.
I understand that. I think what you're trying to say
My
is
volume
that
is low.
Islam can have this kind of brutal interpretation or a kind
gotta
of
turn it
more
up.
liberal interpretation. Judaism certainly can have the same thing. Christianity can't, is my problem. So, but also all of those stories in the Old Testament, the Jews or the Israelites were led by God and were incredibly pious. And the only reason they won any of their battles was because God was really fighting the battles for them. I don't know if you know, there's a famous little thing where the Israelites are far outnumbered. I forget who it was, and the leader is saying to God, "It's like a 10,000 of them to 1,000 of us." And God goes, "Yeah, you know what? Go take your men and go drink at the water, and notice who drinks by leaning over and lapping it up, and who picks the water up." So 9 out of 10 pick the water up in their hands. He said, "Get rid of all them. So now your odds are 10 times worse. Now go fight," right? Because the point was, it is God doing the fighting, not you. And if God's on your side, this is the concept of holy war. If God's on your side, you don't have to worry about anything. And I think you could see this sometimes in Wahhabism. It's a similar kind of thing. Yeah, the West has bigger weapons and all this kind of stuff, but we're just gonna, God will, Allahu Akbar, right? It's God will give us victory.
God's the greatest.
And you can be completely irrational. Catholicism early on formed the just war tradition. And we do not have any, no pope has really ever said, God told me to do this and it's going to happen. We have the just war tradition, which has to do with, that you have to have a good chance of winning. It's kind of a secular analysis. Don't fight a war if it's stupid to fight. We don't claim that God's going to somehow miraculously kind of make Christians win when they're going to lose. And we would actually counsel against arguing even what would otherwise be a justified war if you're going to lose. So that comes from Aquinas, but it comes from Augustine as well. The Christian tradition really doesn't have a holy war concept in it, although individual cuckoo clocks within the tradition have felt that way. So, I mean, And also Zionism did not operate that way. When Zionism largely has myths that, like in 1948, unbelievably, we claimed independence. In 67, every single time there was brutal calculation. It was usually that they weren't defending themselves. It's loaded with propaganda and lies. They're calculating huge propaganda wing. So almost everything they say from their beginning is lies and propaganda. And like the idea that they really kicked some ass in Gaza, you could say that's true, but all they did is wipe out women and children and buildings. I mean, it's a cowardly fight by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, far be it for me to throw rocks from the side or whatever. But the thing about it is, I think that the Israelis,
Tony, he's not reading the chat, so you can go over there and
of Jewish people of 15 million,
yes,
and I think it's 7 million in Israel proper.
9, I think 9.
When you add up like surrounding states, when you add up Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Jordan, Egypt,
yep,
and Saudi Arabia, I mean, they outnumber them by what like a factor of 100 or 1,000 to 1. Like, it's actually batshit.
Well, if you want to take the Muslim world as a whole, it's in the billions. So yeah, right.
So
I wouldn't pick a fight with Muslims.
Realistically, if every single Muslim just started walking towards Israel, there's actually little they could do besides drop nukes, right? But that's kind of why they've had this like hard scrabble 20th century history where they got nuclear technology, where they got military industrial complex technology, where they developed microchips, where they fought, what was it? It was like 56, 67, 73, 2005, and now. Yeah. And so the point is it's hard to read. If your neighbor strikes you on the cheek, then, give him your other one. And then be like, okay, let's drop JDAMs on Gaza. Like, it's really hard to read those things.
What are JDAMs?
But joint direct attack munitions, they're 500-pound bombs.
Oh.
But the point is, though, that if you're a Baptist or if you're a prosperity preacher, right? You were mentioning how sometimes in faiths, people view wealth or success as God's blessing. The only reason why you're doing well is because God has blessed.
It's much more of an Old Testament idea. Yes.
Well, right. But I know that in particularly like Southern evangelical circles, there are entire churches dedicated to the concept of prosperity gospel, and therefore they materially reward their preachers. And so the point is that I would never call these people not Christian. Now, I think they get a shitload wrong in reference to the scripture. I think they're heretics in a lot of ways, but I would never call them not Christian. And I think that they would.
Are you talking about Zionists?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is I think effectively the Christian Zionist narrative is almost exactly what I've articulated, which is Israel in the current day is the same as Israel 3,000 years ago. The current Palestinians are the same as the Philistines from back in the day. Here's all these Old Testament things that justify why the state of Israel needs to own this territory. And here's why it's okay for men, women, and children to get hit with conventional bombs. Fuck them. And then also, there is a root of, I would say, Islamophobia has a pussy connotation, but there is a hostility to Islam, particularly post 9/11, that helps Christians endorse Israel in its fight in the West Bank and Gaza.
Right. Yeah. And the Israeli government loves it when there are Muslim attacks on Jews or Christians, because then it makes us feel like we have a common enemy.
Weirdly enough, you understand that was the argument from the dancing Israelis? The dancing. So 9/11, 2001 happens, and there were some Jewish guys who were working. They allegedly had Mossad ties, but they were working for a moving company, and they were seen rejoicing as the 9/11 terror attacks happened.
Yeah,
and they were pulled over by American law enforcement like an hour later or whatever. And they were like, hey, people said you were celebrating and videotaping. What the fuck is wrong with you, basically? Right. And the Israeli guys were like, no, you don't get it. We're on your team. we know that this is, basically probably Muslim dickheads. And so as a result, we are going to fight together against the jihadist terrorists.
Right.
And so, yeah, you're right.
Hezbollah
Whenever
works.
a jihadist attack happens in the Western world, I'm sure that Zionists celebrate because they know America is going to be even more invested in their cause.
Right, which we have no reason to be invested in. But anyways, 9/11 was an attack.
How did they know? How did they know? How did they know? Interesting question. How would they know ahead of time, as the buildings are collapsing, that it was the Muslims?
That Muslims have with us, so that if we stopped doing that, then we wouldn't have these attacks. So it's kind of
he also didn't like that we were involved in defending Saudi Arabian oil fields. He also didn't like that the Muslim Middle Eastern and North African world was so weak that kafirs, like he didn't view us as believers.
But the Hasbara is the lie is George Bush, right? When he went and stood on the smoldering remains, he's like, well, they don't like us having freedoms. They're
well, to be clear, Bin Laden did not like gay
beaches.
people or strip clubs or alcohol. He also did not like any of those things.
Yeah, but that's not the
Based. Yeah, they create degenerates like you, Connor. I'm confused as to the problem.
Is that it's true that I think that the vast majority of the motivation for 9/11 and jihadist terrorism in general is geopolitical grievance dressed in religious grievance. Like if I had to guess, it's like 70-30.
It's a political movement.
Politics, 30% religion. Yeah. And the religion's effectively window dressing.
All right, guys.
However,
we're going to do another 10 minutes back and forth like this. Then we have to get into the closing statements just because do have to make sure the people that sent the super chats in the beginning are here to hear them as well. Keep it somewhat cordial for them. Maybe wrap it up around 10:15, 10:30. You guys can go a lot longer in the Q&A back and forth as well because they can keep sending super chats while y'all are elaborating on whatever topics they bring up.
Yeah, I got 10:20 on my clock right now. If you
I'm
want to
in
wrap,
Texas, so it's 9:20 here. So 9:30, we'll go ahead
Perfect.
and get into the closing statements.
Yeah, that works for me. All I was going to say though is that Osama bin Laden himself was critical of the Muslim world for being too secular, too decadent, too corrupted by Western influence. And he was actually quoted as saying that Afghanistan under the Taliban.
No, this host isn't as fun as the last one. I miss Ryan. I miss Ryan. Well, we're gonna move on to the super chats. I've been having a cold beer, guys. We're having a great time. What a cutie. I miss Ryan. Where's Ryan?
Cool.
My kids are going to hear me in here if I bring out the guitar, but I did enjoy your little ditty there.
Or whatever. But, okay, yeah.
Well, they did think that God was going to forgive them because they had died in holy war.
I do understand that. I do think maybe somewhere in their heads, some of them did feel like, we're martyrs, right? And the concept of martyrdom in Christianity is significantly different because it includes suicide bombers. We don't have any suicide bomber martyrs here in Christianity and Catholicism and in Orthodoxy, although there are saints who were soldiers and warriors, but not like terrorists. That's kind of too far afield for us. But I just want to say in general, if you take, this is the kind of left idea here, what was Zionism about? Okay, so it was a secular movement. Whether
I don't know, I didn't keep it private for any particular reason. Dude, I'm selling something. I'm selling something on Facebook Marketplace, and this guy is hitting me up, and he's like, he's like overdoing it. He's like, Grace, awesome name. Anyways, we'll even do the normal price. My wife and I just moved into a new house. It's a huge help, holiday help. We're probably gonna help start a sober living facility. We have 3 apartments. We need to furnish them. Please, if we could swing by tomorrow and drop you $100 just to deposit. And it's like, I can't tell whether I'm being scammed or whether he's just like really nice and like overdoing it. I really can't tell, because how would I be getting scammed? I'm the one selling it. I'm just like, I just feel like he's overdoing it. Who's like, Grace, great name. Thanks.
one is buying it And now that it's, 4K on the screen, what it looks like, it's kind of like the Zionists can make an argument for it, but it falls flat. And I think
maybe morally, but but also when we're talking about, we mentioned realpolitik earlier. So what's true is that in the wake of World War II, I think there was a concerted political effort in order to say a third of the global Jewish population was wiped out in World War II. As a result, the Jews are not safe unless they have an established homeland. Israel is their established homeland, and the Christian nationalist narrative.
I mean, he sold things. He has a 5-star rating, so he sold 17 things, so it seems legit.
The Christian nationalist narrative during World War II on part of the Germans was that the Jews had broken the new covenant. They had rejected Jesus. They'd rejected the Messiah. They were no longer relevant in God's plan. They were vestigial. They were like a T-Rex's forward arms. They were not necessary for the existence of the world. And therefore, whether they lived or died or were in Israel or the British Mandate, or if they were wiped off of the face of the planet, did not matter in God's scheme of things. That was the Christian national, and that also rooted a lot.
I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? Christian nationalist?
Christian.
That's something that was made up on the internet
Christian
like 5
nationalists
years
who specifically were allied with the Nazis and were part of their power bloc. Okay. Now, that narrative though was common throughout like medieval Europe, was that the Jews were vestigial, they'd broken the covenant, they killed the Savior, et cetera, et cetera. They don't need to exist. Which is why you have
not according to the official documents of the church, but there was a lot of ethnic tension.
Yeah, lay sentiment. But anyways, the point is that the Zio-conservative narrative, which I think has dominated the late 20th century, absolutely. Ever since like the United States and Israel thawed their relations in the 60s and 70s and Israel became more capitalistic, effectively the Zionist narrative is that the Abrahamic religions owe their historical and spiritual roots to the Jews. The Jews have been unfairly maligned and massacred throughout history for the past several thousand years. As a result, Israel needs to exist as a safe haven for the Jews. And the most evident,
hilarious as always,
the most evident need for that security is the Holocaust, which I understand might be like really far off for people who are like 20 years old. But my grandparents were World War II veterans, right? Like I grew up looking them in the eyeballs. So the Holocaust was not that long ago. And so yeah, that's the narrative.
What's next?
The problem is, what is the least safe place for Jews in the world right now? The Middle East.
I don't think, well, the Middle East and North Africa for sure, but I don't think Israel statistically is that dangerous.
Did you see the rockets coming down on Tel Aviv? You think that's happening to Jews in New York?
How many people have they lost since October 7, 2023?
Yeah, I know that, but eventually, like you said, like you've got all these people who you've pissed off to no end. They're over a billion strong. I mean, here's the proof of that. The wealthy Jews are leaving en masse from Israel back to the cosmopolitan centers in Europe and America where they came from. Yep. Only the poor people are left.
But I think the Abraham.
If I was Jewish, let me ask you this question: if you were Jewish in Tel Aviv, and you saw those rockets coming down, you had to hide in the shelters, and you had enough wealth that you could easily move back to New York with your relatives and friends.
Yeah, I'd live in Miami.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, of course.
Whatever, London, Miami, Paris, whatever.
But hold on. But I want to make this point though, because I think it's something where your side of the aisle might be a little bit disappointed. The Abraham Accords negotiated by Jared Kushner, which are effectively like overlapping fields of interest between the Muslim world and Israel. I think that's why you've seen Saudi female newscasters without hijabs challenging leaders of Hamas. I think that's why you've seen Turkey.
Am I fucking crazy, or is Connor not even close to the topic? Am I crazy? Why are we talking about Saudi Arabian women not wearing hijabs on the news program? What the fuck is this boomer ass take? Like what?
Indictment of the state of Israel,
women's freedom in Islam. I care about that.
You think that the entire Muslim world was going to get pissed off and swarm them for what happened?
Oh yeah,
I don't see it happening.
Well, the people are in solidarity with the Palestinians. The leaders are bought off, as was always been what Westerners do with.
But the people aren't doing shit.
Arabs. Oh, well, I mean, I think there's some concern. That's why those talks were
Yeah,
called
me and my
off. That's
dad
why the
debated
Saudis
this guy.
said,
Yeah.
like, no, we got to resolve the problem. Obviously, if you're rulers who are alienating your people, that can only last for so long until you have a rebellion. Granted, a lot of these people with CIA help, like, repress any rebellion. But
I would say the Middle East and North Africa. I know we're supposed to wrap up momentarily, but I would say the Middle East and North Africa is tired. They're fucking tired. And what I would say is the Iraq conflict. Obviously, I mean that arguably started all the way back in 1992. But between the Iran-Iraq war, the Persian Gulf War, the invasion of Iraq, the civil war in Syria, the Arab awakening in the early 2010s, the mass immigration to Europe, ISIS,
see it, John.
all that kind of stuff. I think the Middle East and North Africa is fucking.
If I could just say as a closing, like that was the idea of the British Empire, is that you beat these people down, you brutalize them, you rape them, you murder, you torture,
Hang on, John,
and you
he's
eventually
busy.
beat their spirit down. I don't think that's happened. And in fact, the fact that that Hamas has successfully resisted, the U.S. Secretary of State said last year they have more recruits than they had more people in Hamas than at the beginning of this whole thing. It's only served to spur the kind of movement of like it's only violence.
Do you want to do that
people
together,
listen
Terry?
to. So I don't think you're right about that. I get
Go
that.
ice skating?
These people are generally
Let's go to the
peaceful
mall.
people. I think it's interesting that Muslims act more like Christians than Christians do. They turn the other cheek. Iran gets bombed and they basically don't respond. And they let us know we're going to send a couple of little things just to placate our people. They're becoming Christians, more Christian than Christians are, because they're playing the long game and they're going to win. And the Israelis are going to lose. I will tell you right now, it's 2025. By 2045, there will be no state of Israel in the shape it's in now. The apartheid state cannot last. I think it'll be done within 10 years, and you'll have like a South Africa, which will have a lot of problems like the South Africans do. But it's over. And if people want to keep doing this Ben Shapiro screaming and yelling and telling us
DM
all
you,
that
baby
we've now
cakes.
got a gun to our
We ain't
head,
got no
they're welcome to do
girlfriends,
that. But it's
so-
over. It's over. We don't buy it.
You got free time.
We've heard enough of the Hasbara. You're not really doing it even. You're not even trying. So,
But I'll bet you $100 in the opposite direction. We could evaluate this bet by 2050, assuming that we're both alive by that time.
Let's let that be the last thing right there, because I do have to say we're in, I think, subscriber only mode. So if you want to super chat and get your chat read in the Q&A after the closing statements here, you can do that if you want to get through.
I mean, fuck it. I'll send a super chat, but I don't know what to say.
Because it looks like we got some good stuff to go through here.
What should I say? I'll send a super chat.
It's probably expanded its borders into Gaza and the West Bank, and we'll see who's right in 2050,
you know
providing
what?
we're both.
I'd like to debate Connor that Islam is more woman friendly than modern America. How about that? I would take that. I would take that. What do you think? I'm no fan of Islam either, but
Q&As.
Who goes first?
I believe it's going to be.
no, I
the
want to
opposite
support
of
with the donation.
The person who opened.
So I'll go first because you opened first.
Yeah, I
think,
know,
huh?
Hans.
Right.
I can
okay,
follow.
so I think largely we kind of missed each other during most of that debate. I'm happy to I'm happy.
All right,
it's
let's
in a
see
sense
here.
better than locking heads too hard like we did on our last debate.
I'm just
but
gonna full screen so that
you know,
guys
I think
can't
this may
see
be
my
something that we
payment
could
info.
develop further along. I don't think we were able to get to the crux of the issue. I was hoping that we could have an argument about imperialism, empires, and whether they're compatible with Christianity or even sort of the Western tradition.
Islam is more
I don't think they are. But then again, we do have
beneficial,
like huge problems.
feminist,
What are we going to do?
pro-woman.
Give back the native populations in North America. Those are interesting kind of historical things. How do you do that? In this situation, clearly there's a side that's on the right and on the wrong. If we've learned anything from history, it should, yes.
I just want to let everybody know I'm not skipping any super chats. I'm just not going to read the normal chats like someone had asked if there wasn't any super chats. Everybody relax. No one's skipping super chats. Sorry, Ben. Go ahead.
Yeah, anyways, and I think this idea that I think we oftentimes this argument it takes it all on the internet almost always in exact form, where like we talk about the Jews as
I need
the
to make it
Zionists,
funnier.
and then the opposition to that is people who are anti-Zionist, and usually it has to do with American foreign policy, and it gets locked into a kind of, I think, Hasbara versus like I don't buy the Hasbara kind of thing. I'm glad to see look, there's some movement here. I think it has a lot more to do with
Connor.
a reevaluation of the entire West. Like, what are we, if we're condemning Gaza, what are we going to say about Hiroshima and Nagasaki? What are we going to say about the bombing of Dresden? What are we going to say about
there we
like
go.
how
Got
the Native Americans are treated? And I think we've done a lot of that work, and like Black Americans, we've done a lot of that work, but we haven't kind of like
PayPal.
really resolved
Let's
what
go.
we're all about. So we have two factions. I think on the left,
There it
we're
is.
saying like that stuff was all terrible. It was all racist. On the other hand, you have people who, you know, in a kind of normal and sense, like my tribe won. I don't want to apologize forever for being white, for being male, for being Christian. And we brought a lot to these lands, and colonization was, I don't think anyone's going to say colonization was a grand slam home run and perfect, but like in many ways, maybe it brought some good to the world. And it's very easy to get filled with kind of like white guilt, European guilt, Christian guilt, and et cetera. It's an interesting kind of argument, but it's more nuanced and no one's really familiar with it. Like, for example, the difference between Anglo colonialism and Iberian colonialism, Spain and Portugal. I believe that's like kind of where we need to go next, instead of just having those same debates with the Hasbara points and then the anti-Hasbara points. So I'm glad to have a little bit of a different discussion here, although I think we kind of missed each other. I wasn't sure where we were at odds, because
Oh, he should have, like, no offense, Dad, but you should have gone fucking harder. You should have said, Connor came here to debate whether Christianity is compatible with Zionism. And what did he do? He absolutely failed, derailed at every point, didn't even know that an Israelite does not actually refer to an Israeli citizen, yada, yada, yada. Has no idea what he's talking about, is not even a Christian, and utterly and superbly showed himself to be a complete and utter moron, incompetent, unable to do this debate. He should never have taken it in the first place. So I take the W. I feel bad for him. This really was more of a tutoring session than a debate, and I suggest that he do his homework first before he goes against me again. Something like that. You know what I mean?
It's
Hit 'em
pretty
where it
clear
hurts.
that there is a way that you can interpret warriorhood and justified killing and this, that, the other into a Christian context. Now, of course, you have to ignore a few scriptures from Christ himself, but you can get there.
It wasn't
and
a
so
debate,
my
yeah.
point is that if we take
Not
that
even
history
really.
of Christianity and we apply it to Zionism, I am unsurprised that modern Christian Zionists are capable of squaring their religion with the Zionist project.
Bro, that's not...
Now, I think
That's not the fucking topic. That is not the topic. I'm not surprised that modern Christian Zionists can, cope for the horrendous atrocities of Zionism. Yeah, nobody's surprised. Yeah, they're getting paid. Unlike you do this for free. You simp for Israel for free. But yeah, I'm not surprised either. That's not the topic. You're supposed to be saying that it's totally compatible with the virtues of Christianity or any part of Christianity. It's totally not what we're here for.
they're heretics, to be clear. But if we declared every Christian sect that was wrong about something heretics, then there would be like two guys left in the faith. So the point is that yes, you can be Christian. Yes, you can be a Zionist. Yes, you can use scripture to back it up. Probably.
How would you know? You're not a Christian. You do not believe that Christ is God. You think he was a really great prophet. Most people who aren't religious vaguely think that. Nobody really hates Jesus Christ or what he said. But that's kind of the whole fucking point. Christianity. You fucking moron. Holy shit.
Probably makes you an asshole, but it's still possible.
It makes you an asshole, but it's still possible. But that's not a point. You just refuted your own point. You're saying it makes you an asshole to be a Christian Zionist. Well, so you're saying it's wrong. So it's incompatible. You just BTFO'd yourself, sir.
All right, was that
Log
that it?
off.
End
Log
of
off,
remarks.
Connor.
Okay.
Holy shit.
Now, if there's things that you guys still want to get into, don't worry, we can get into that. I'm going to go through the super chats from the beginning here, and I mean,
because the new covenant exists.
I
However,
skipped forward.
what I would say is what's weird to me about that interpretation is that God is supposed to be the creator of the universe, right? He's omniscient, omnipotent, you know, he understands history, he understands everything, right? He knows how many hairs are on your head at this exact moment because he's so omnipresent, right? To have a dictate to a specific person in that time period, and then to say 2,000 years later, psych,
Connor, you have to be
I
the
didn't
worst
mean
debater
that. Actually, here's
I've
my
ever
son,
heard.
and therefore you can ignore the
You-
old stuff. That's weird to me. That feels like we're
You're
poking
not a
at something
Christian.
divine, that we're trying to
don't
understand something
understand
divine, but our
Christianity.
own human flaws and
And
frailty
you
prevent
don't
us from
even
understanding
think
it.
it's
Which is part of the reason why I'm not a
with
literalist.
Zionism. Why
You don't
on
understand
earth
Christianity,
did you
how it
take
can
this debate.
how it's compatible with the Old Testament. So you're saying?
No, I understand it logically that the
I have
old
to pay more to
covenant
send
has
that.
been fulfilled, so to speak, and therefore no longer needs to be like what the chatter said, which is effectively like once a debt is paid, do you continue to pay it? Once the covenant is fulfilled, do you continue
50 less
to try to
characters.
fulfill it? That's what he's asking. And
I would just say, as a historical, from a Catholic point of view, because I wasn't sure about this. This has to do with like dispensationalism. So the old covenant, the church would say that God's covenants are irrevocable. So the promise He made to Abraham remains with the people of Abraham. And so actually, the church has officially said we do not want to convert the Jews. Like officially, like we will not. The Catholic Church will not support anyone who takes on the mission of converting the Jews, although you can individually, of course, like talk with a Jewish person and they can convert. And that's in some sense that like, yeah, there's this weird kind of
I need 12 less
dinosaur thingy
characters.
that even during the Middle Ages, when people say there's a lot of anti-Semitism, the church protected the Jews actually. And it was when the church became unable to do so that you had bloodshed. And I would say the Holocaust is an example of that. The Germans kicked Catholicism out of their land and embraced kind of paganism, which led to like the mass bloodshed of
Okay,
Jews.
that's good.
Modern,
enough.
these anti-Jews today say that the Catholic Church was complicit with the Nazi thing. That's not true at all. Though, of course, the church always tries to have relations, no matter how crazy. They have relations, I'm sure, with North Korea to this day. It doesn't mean you're endorsing someone because you want to
Connor.
protect the church in a certain area. But I believe the Pope
Connor.
during the Second World War was awarded the highest accolades from the Jewish world afterwards because he saved literally
to pee
tens of
super bad.
thousands
I'll
of
be right
Jews
back.
from almost certain death. So anyway, just a little historical note.
People have been saying my mic is really low. You guys tell me when it's right, real quick. Does that sound better? Whoever's been complaining about that the whole time, I'm not even talking.
You sound fine to me, but I'm on.
Yeah, I don't know. These guys are audio trolls sometimes, but I do know that Big League had a follow-up to that I want to read for you guys. Connects to what you're saying. If an acorn fulfills its role and becomes an oak tree, was the acorn done away with? Does the acorn still exist? And thanks, Max, for the limiter compressor advice last stream. I got that set up.
just thought
in
of
there
another
with some
banger.
gain as well. I just forgot to turn the gain up.
What about this?
Weirdly enough, I think your earlier question was kind of
what
like
was
an
I gonna
anti-Zionist
say?
argument, and then this argument is weirdly enough like a Christian nationalist argument. It's kind of weird to see both simultaneously, but yeah, I mean like the acorn. Somebody correct me if
Connor,
I'm wrong, but effectively like
If you don't,
the cap, right? The
know
cap
that
is
the
discarded,
term
but then the acorn itself
Israelite
is like the fruit. It's like
does
what the
not
seed
refer
feeds
to
on. Somebody correct me if I'm
Israeli
wrong.
citizens.
But yeah, of course, like the metaphorically or
if you don't
literally,
know the
I
difference
suppose, the
between
acorn has become the tree.
the terms,
But then, you know, what
Israelite
if there's another
and
acorn that's right
Israeli?
next to the oak tree and it says, "You
It's
were never
time
supposed
to
to be an oak
log
tree, bitch.
off
You were always supposed
and
to be
go
an
back
acorn."
to
And
the
that's
police
kind of
force.
what Judaism says,
think?
is that like
Epic?
Christianity had no right to sprout and convert 2 or
Log
3
off
billion
from the
people into what is effectively,
Israel
from their
debates
perspective, a
and go back to
heresy.
the police force.
And then same thing with
And
Islam.
put the fries in the
Islam,
bag.
once again, would be considered kind of like a post-Abrahamic
Hey.
heresy, where you have a monotheist. To be clear, Muhammad was a monotheist, but he's effectively taking the Abrahamic faith, using it for his own power, and then advocating for universal conversion under his system.
Tried 3 years in the IDF.
Basically,
He has to read all of
make
these.
your question even more silly. What if an acorn becomes an oak tree? What if another acorn becomes another oak tree? And then what if a third acorn stays an acorn and it says, "Fuck you both, you're doing this wrong"? Like that's kind of where we're at.
I can appreciate that. This isn't an argument, but I actually am an arborist and a botanist, and
of
the
course
acorn
you
is
are.
it is the tree. I mean, there's no separation. It is the tree. It grows. It's all one thing.
I know
that-
from pro-life discussions, and actually, historically, the man's seed was seen as like an
Let's
acorn, and the woman was seen
go.
as the like soil. But in
Thank
actual
you,
fact,
Jamon. $2. You're gonna get him
I
fired.
don't
Dish.
think trees
Wow. Oy
have
vey.
sexual reproduction, right?
They
So-
do. There's male
not
and female
a female,
gametes. Yeah, there's and there's more hermaphrodites in the plant world than anything. But there's pollen, and then there's the actual flowers, and the flowers catch the pollen. That would be
I'm gonna spend
like
all my
the
money on
uterus,
roasting
and
this
then
guy.
the pollen would be like the sperm.
Well,
and
what's
then
the acorn?
The acorn is a pollinated. It's already been pollinated.
so it's like
It's the
fertilized
fruit.
egg.
It's a fruit.
It's like a fertilized egg. Oh, okay.
So
So
when-
it's more like implantation then.
Yeah, when the
than
pollen
acorn
hits a flower, that starts incorporating
Wait, I
the
got
genetic
another
code
one.
together, and then that genetic code
Connor,
is
your new
unique, different
haircut
from
is
both
perfect
of the parents, and
for
then that's
a
what grows into the new
military-
plant. But if it's
Holy
like a
shit.
fruit tree,
I'd
the
suggest
fruit itself will
joining
have
the
several
IDF
genetic variations within each seed
for
to
a
maximize
couple
the
years
likelihood of a
before
successful adaptation.
trying to
allegedly.
shill for Israel
Wow.
again.
Wait, and sorry, just I know this
Ooh,
is such
that's
an
a
obvious
banger.
question, but I'm going to ask it anyways.
That's a banger.
So sorry, I
Thoughts?
thought pollen emanated from flowers.
It can be both.
So effectively,
There's pollen sacs in
flower-
some plants, and then there's just flowers without really like a ton of pollen, and
Is it
those are
worth
mainly the
$5?
females. But you can tell the difference also in the genetics. Like cannabis, for example, like you keep the male pollen away from the female flowers so that it
No.
actually focuses on all the things that you want to, like the resins and the trichromes. You want those to expand production because it's trying to catch the pollen. That's why they get so sticky. But if you don't give it any male pollen, it'll never make seeds, no new genetic information. That's why growers clone it.
I can only fit.
I learned a lot
can only
tonight.
fit.
Yeah, and that I had to say that because everyone in the chat earlier on is so worried about my working situation since they know too much about my life. And yeah, they're trying to give me recommendations on how to make money, but they could just send me the money and shut the fuck up.
Let's go.
But I do appreciate the goodwill and the
He is
asking me
seething.
or people to pray for me. That's nice. But anyways, next super chat, free Ryan. That's not the super chat. Bless my vibe code sent $10 and he says, as an ex-Christian atheist now, it's unfortunately true that Christians are effective cucks for Jews. Yes, the religion has
Wait,
good
what about
principles,
the
but
host?
ultimately it's people bowing down to ancient Jewish men.
What did somebody say earlier?
I'd like to
ZXZ?
take that one. It's interesting. If we look at, I wouldn't call them Jews, but I would call them anti-Jews. Secular European people who,
What was the Brokeback Mountain?
whatever. Let's say there was tension within
Mike,
Europe.
I'm sorry you took your.
The idea
you
that
cut
the
from
church
casting
isn't
call
the
of
best
Brokeback Mountain
place
so
to
hard.
work out that
I don't
relationship
know, women
with
aren't funny.
those people, and that it's better to just individually
Help me
like
think of
send
a
super chats
roast, a
and like
Brokeback
feel like,
Mountain
hey, I'm doing
roast.
something. If there's a collective problem, you have to combat it collectively, and it's a very tricky question. But there is a certain truth, I think, to this kind of idea that these people, let's say, cause a lot of
Like how
problems.
many
Sorry for the
trees
echo,
are
guys.
pollinated.
or I'm not allowed to say that. Pornography, I guess you're supposed to say.
So glad you got rejected
and
from
a lot
Brokeback
of
Mountain
revolutions
to be
start
here
from
to
this
host
group
tonight.
of people. And how we work this whole thing out, and there is a common perception that the Goy has become yeah, like kind of gun to the head, scared. I think the best bet with dealing with a collective problem is a collective solution, which the church has always provided. If you
Mike, I'm so
notice
glad you got
among
rejected from the
Christians,
Brokeback Mountain casting call, so
you will
can
not
be here with
find
us
any
tonight.
popes who are endorsing what's
TV
going
series
on in Gaza,
remake?
nor any bishops.
It's
Generally
too
speaking, they're
complicated, CXV.
absolutely
I have a lot of
right
characters
on the
left.
mark.
I have,
Though they may be polite about it,
45
they
characters left.
you will not
No,
find
35
that the
characters
church has in any way bought the Hasbara.
You could
And you can't say that
pollinate
for many groups.
me any day. My tree any day.
Okay,
Yep.
Connor, did you want to leave it at that?
Done.
Listen, man, I don't. I guess I'm overly sympathetic to
Don't
the
give him
Jewish
hope.
people. That's one of my many sins. But I think that the World War II generation kind of imprinted on me that effectively they participated in one of the world's most
The
horrific
cowboy hat
crusades.
is a
That's
crazy
what my
look.
grandparents effectively told me, is that I had a grandparent who fought in Guam, I had a grandparent who fought in Europe, and one was a B-17 Navigator, the other
stolen
one
joke.
was a CB.
Stolen valor.
And they both said that it was one of the most fucked up and crazy and insane
Connor,
and
no amount of
awesome
neck
things
massaging
they
is gonna
ever
take
did.
this L away
And
from you
they
tonight.
hope the world never goes through it again. So that's kind of where, for me, the instinct is like the relish, the zeal that people have for authoritarianism these days freaks me the fuck out, because I was basically told by my parents' parents, do not let this shit happen again.
Okay.
And they weren't just talking about the Holocaust, by the way. They were just talking about World War II.
Uh-huh.
All right.
You're scared.
Good addition there. All right. Next up, we got Bless My Vibe Code again says, or no, wait. Kakashan just sent $1. Didn't say anything. Thank you. Lurch 685 says the New Testament has no original copies to verify any of it. You guys know
So
what he's
that
talking
guy's
about?
gonna stop World War
Yep,
III.
that's true. That's what Muslims make a big deal of that. I do
My
believe
parents'
textual
parents told me that,
analysis,
bro. Trust me.
generally, when it's done
Source,
even
my
by
parents'
anti-Christians, would say that the New Testament is probably fairly accurate in the copies that we do have. But we don't have any originals.
It's part of the reason why I'm not a literalist, was obviously you had the early Christian, well, actually early church councils where they were figuring out what to put in the Bible. And there were some heretical things that they were considering, but ultimately rejected. And, I'm happy they rejected some of the silly things that they rejected. But ultimately, I think that we are a flawed species. And the way that we try to understand God is probably the same way that, like, our capacity to understand the concept of God is probably akin to an ant trying to understand a human.
Well, this next
if not
super
even
chat's
more
relevant to
dramatically
that.
so.
If I can just say, the Christian
Go ahead.
response is that is true. And so therefore God had to give us something to, and also an institution to protect.
Dude, this sucks. I'm sorry. Like, my dad is giving it his best shot, but this just sucks. I don't know what is going on, but like, the last time we debated Connor, it was fun. He was engaged. He was snappy. He was angry. This is cucked. This is cucked. This is cucked. Brutal watching.
Past 3,000.
Because he sent us moral teachings, first through the Jews and then through the Christians.
You know what's interesting just about that? Do you know that if you take the entirety of the human population before the time of Christ, it's not that many people.
That's actually interesting.
If you look at it population-wise, like the vast
Right.
majority of people have existed. It's like we think of it as like the Roman Empire was filled with people, like Italy is, today. Phil, there were very few people around anywhere at the time. So I get that what you're saying there. Of course, the Catholic belief is that Jesus preached to all those who had died, and so they all had a chance at the gospel. But it is
Like, let me just say, I don't mind if my dad is polite, like, with somebody who is respectable or has a lot of clout. Like, with E. Michael Jones, he was super polite in that debate. I have no problem with that. I'm not saying you should be blood sports all the time. But Connor deserves zero respect and is literally only entertaining to wind up. So I understand that it's not really possible. If you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. But, like, I'm not a fan of respectful conversations with idiots. Like, he doesn't deserve respect.
Population.
Yeah.
So the current population of the United States are the entirety of proto-humans and humans that are like Homo sapiens sapien. That's the total amount of Homo sapiens that existed up until 1 CE was the current population of the United States. That's funny. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those weird factoids, but it is interesting.
Yeah.
This one's related to what you guys were just talking about. Bless My Vibe Code sends in $10. He says, I just find it embarrassing any full-grown man consciously worship Jewish or a sky daddy. That's just so emasculating. Also, the notion of a soul is so childish and goofy. Come on, dude, man up. That's for whoever wants it.
I think your parents didn't give you enough hugs while you were growing up.
I love this sky daddy thing, and I love this idea of like cucking to a man. Absolutely, I fall down on my knees for to take instruction from my local priest, my local bishop, the Holy Father, and the Holy Fathers of the Church. It is not in any way, shape, or form unmasculine to kneel and take instruction from men who are greater than you. It's childish to sit there and go, hey, listening to nobody. No one's going to tell me what to do.
True.
No.
That's called adolescence. Grow up.
That's
Montero
what I.
Fever the Two.
That's also what I find childish.
Give Ben the cue to drop the
believing
bomb,
that your own
scorched earth.
intellect is like the sole source
You
of
can't- I mean,
like
I'm
intelligence and
sympathetic. You can't
wisdom
do it if you
in
can't
like
do it, you know what I mean?
that there were millions of people who pre-existed you. Some of them were pagans, some of them were Christian, some of them were Jews.
I mean, I'd find it hard to, be rude out of nowhere if somebody was being polite on a debate with me. And I think my dad has had so much experience of people being hostile that he's, like, somewhat grateful. But unfortunately, I think maybe Connor got slapped around last time and is, like, wanted to have this be, like, more normie. The problem is he's too stupid to engage in, like, an intellectual conversation with. He's uneducated. He thinks you call Israeli citizens Israelites. That's not worthy of respect.
Was raised on biblical stories, and there's morality in there
haircut.
that is
Yeah,
not taught in secular society, that is absolutely necessary to being a good human or developing a good society. And oftentimes I think atheists are navel-gazing, self-worshipping, narcissistic pieces of shit.
Can I also say one thing about this is interesting? YouTube is largely a patronage system, which it used to be like in the Middle Ages, like rich people would hire Mozart, right, to write little ditties for them, or the church or a bishop. This guy sending that is part of a patronage system. He is paying us to listen to him. And the reason we're listening to him is because he's paying us. And we all know it. And we wouldn't listen to him for a second, except that he's giving us money.
Should I turn the heat way up so my dad gets, like, increasingly hot and sweaty? Just be like, I turned it down. I don't know what's going on. He's, like, getting redder and redder. Connor, you fucking...
I'm with me.
Talk shit about Doobie, talking shit about Destiny, and boom. Easy way to make money.
You heard it here first, folks.
Doobie
$1,000, Ben will do whatever.
references?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll kneel down. Listen.
JRO5 sends $10, and he says, pretty sure Zionism is not compatible with Christianity. Aren't they specifically working to bring about...
I'll come in and take away all his cigarettes, like rip his cigarettes in half and throw them in the garbage. Just leave. What's he gonna do? No, I'm not gonna pull an Ethan Ralph on him. That's Ethan Ralph behavior. Look, maybe I'm just being a drama whore, okay? This is my dad's career. It's not that I think he's boring. I just think that Connor's an idiot, so I find it hard to engage.
Tricked by Jesus and Judaism and
a cup of
Muhammad and
freezing
whatever
cold
in order
coffee.
to actually worship Satan, and we are imprisoned on this flawed reality,
That's funny.
and we have to somehow like spiritually break through to the next plane of existence.
That's what's usually called dualism.
Well, and that's where for me you're saying like, oh, there's this cult that's trying to usher in the end of the world. listen, man,
Like sneak in through the door and like walk up and then scare him.
there's been a half dozen cults who have tried to usher in the end of the world within my lifetime, and so far all of them have failed. So I wouldn't worry about it.
I know he looks down on him, but also he knows that he's woefully undereducated on this topic. Like he did take my dad's corrections several times.
Resources. There have been times in history subsequent to the destruction of
That's
the Second Temple
not
by
true
the
at all,
Romans,
Burgess.
right? Which we see as prophesied by Christ in the New Testament, where the Jews have gone up there to build again, and apparently they experienced flames emerging from the land
Fireballs.
that obliterated everyone who went up to the hill. So it's almost like
Jews tried
that
to
Indiana
rebuild the
Jones
temple.
and the Temple of Doom thing where it's just crazy. And like, so I don't think Jews are going to try that again.
God
now,
said
of
nah.
course, then now we also have the what's the
He did make him look dumb
Al-Aq-
several times. It's just that Connor's not like. Connor's just. I don't know if he's phoning it in. He's just being super friendly, which. I think. Honestly, I think it's a tactic that he's using to not get, like. Beaten. I think he just wants to keep it friendly to avoid being humiliated.
Israeli
That's my-
government
that's my
supports the temple project. I don't know what your guys' opinion on that is. If the
luck.
government supports it,
Good luck.
Yeah.
You're going to knock down one of the most holy sites in Islam. That's
Ooh,
going
my
to be the
jaw
end of
just
Israel right
clicked.
there. They're not going to tolerate
They,
that.
well, there's also something to be said. There are Zionists. I know that we've primarily identified them as like the Jewish people as broadly secular, as most of them not being literalist, et cetera, et cetera. But there are Orthodox Zionists who do not believe that they're ushering in the end times or they have to wait on the Messiah. And you can actually look at their maps where they have maps that are effectively the covenant of Abraham. And they are unapologetic in their desire to colonize, Gaza and the West Bank. So once again, like, I'll make a brief anecdote. So I have a friend. I talked to him today. He was a soldier in the War on Terror, and there were all these prophecies that effectively the end times would happen in Iraq, and that was like part of the Quranic doomsday scenario that like the end times are going to happen in this city approximately this time, that whatever. And so it's the Soldiers of Heaven were a Sunni sect.
The host doesn't tell you who won, but they should. The debate host should like have points and say who won and be neutral, but just like based on the argumentation. It would be way more interesting.
To come down and all this kind of stuff. But do you know what happened to those guys? They're all fucking dead. They're all dead because they pulled the tail of
Hey, based in exile, Christianity is Jewish. Jesus, the disciples, the Bible, the area it took place, it's all Jewish. That's true. Why wouldn't it be compatible with Zionism? They're the chosen people, aren't they? I wish you had been my dad's opponent because maybe you would have actually defended the topic. Maybe you actually would have thought that it was compatible. Instead of Connor, who basically doesn't think it, but just talked about other stuff for 2 hours.
And something like 80% of the Israeli population will openly say ethnic cleansing is the solution here.
speaking
That's
of,
They're crazy.
Emperor Fat Ass Dog 69 sent in a super chat that says, just putting it out there, a war is not a genocide. I think that's relevant to what you're saying. And I got some long ass dogs on my cup. These are dachshunds. You can't see it out. Green screened it out.
Nice username. I waffle on this question all the time. The last casualty stats that we had were during the summer.
Yeah, the winner should get half the donos. Yeah. No, me and my dad have talked about this before. It should be a more engaging situation.
According to his
I appreciate the platform modern day debate has built and everything, but they just lost the sauce. Like it's not engaging enough for viewers. They don't have, I don't know. Maybe they're doing fine, but to me, the host should be more engaged. Like this guy has obviously been on his phone the whole time, which is fine, but it's like quality over quantity, guys.
reason why I fought the genocide label was because I thought that technologically Israel could wipe out Gaza instantaneously.
Or
If they wanted to
women,
wipe out 2 million people,
Women can just
they
sit
could just
there.
carpet bomb the
Doesn't
entire
matter.
region, kill all 2 million, call it a day, which they haven't done. However, still, like wiping out 10% over 3 years, that's tough.
A war is
numbers
between
there.
two nations. Gaza's not a nation. They're an occupied people. So it's not a war in any normal sense.
True.
Great response.
I disagree with that, just because obviously the Hamas is a government or a proto-government that's over them, and they're an armed militant faction, and they're engaged in asymmetric warfare. But I still think that like we should recognize if 200,000 people have died indirectly, and even Israel's like highest estimates are estimating like 20,000 of those people are fighters. That's still a fuckload of people to wipe out over the course of 3 years. That's a shitload of people. That's like 4 Madison Square Gardens. That's how many people that is.
Well, clearly the idea is to punish the entire population, not
Sure.
to fight the combatants.
Yes.
To make it
and-
unlivable, and then go, hey, well, what are we going to do? These poor people can't go back here.
Well,
We'll have
and
to
if
send them
you'll-
somewhere else.
And if you'll indulge me, another brief rant. Dignity versus honor. Okay, we have like 4 moral systems under these 2 terms: dignity versus honor. We have the Christian turn the other cheek. We have tit for tat with some level of reciprocity, which is what most civilized people do, is tit for tat or turn the other cheek. Then you have eye for an eye, which means that if somebody takes your eye, you are either owed their eye, or
That's the same as tit for tat, you fucking retard! Oh my god. Why am I listening to this guy give us a philosophical lecture? Why? You don't know what you're talking about.
you're owed something of equivalent value. And
That's the
then
same
you
thing.
have barbarian retributive violence. And what I mean by barbarian retributive violence
Retributive, not retributive.
is
Idiot.
you poke
Uneducated.
out my eye,
Moron.
I murder your
I didn't complete high school and I know that, you fucking dipshit.
See, that's what I would bring in a debate against this guy.
whole family.
You're saying fancy words, you don't know how to pronounce them, and you barely know what they mean. Stop doing that.
And that's kind of where
You're a cop.
I think that
You're a military. You're ex-military, which means you were cannon fodder. Okay, that's what that means. And you were a cop for 3 years. You're a fucking idiot. You have no career, and you want to be the right-wing destiny. He's smarter than you. You need to have an IQ above room temperature to pull this off. God.
that if we look at 1,400 dead on October 7, 2023, which was barbaric, which was horrific, which was,
The problem, Tony, is we've tried to do it before, but like, we would need a neutral moderator because who's gonna moderate between the two of us? I mean, I suppose I could moderate, but then who are we gonna get on there to debate? Because if you're gonna debate someone on the internet, it's unfortunately an extremely small pool of people. So what are you gonna get? What are you gonna get? Counterpoints versus Doobie or something like that, and then I'll have to sit through this fucking, and then I will eventually get pissed off and take sides and yell at one of them, and it's like not neutral or whatever. But so you'd need a neutral host, and like you'd need a neutral mod, and I could run the host side of things and like add some spice or whatever, or my dad or both of us. But we've never been able to get a neutral moderator. I thought ProvoKid would be great, or Toiletable Earth. Somebody who like is interested in this stuff vaguely and can like judge. But they just, it's really hard to get people to commit to a new project. So it just never panned out. Never found anybody who cared enough about it.
transphobia is obviously the term that we've all been acclimated with over the past 5 years.
Mark Fusion
Transnisia is
would
apparently
be a great
nisia,
moderator,
the
yeah.
root word is like hatred. And so they've changed, like some woke people have changed it to transmisia.
But he doesn't really care
so
about
yeah,
debates.
use Islamamisia, and then boom, you're Gucci. Now, no, I'm.
Oh my god, so cringe.
What I don't like is I don't like normie Muslims being treated like shit when they wake up, work their jobs, pay their bills,
Oh, good for you. What a bleeding heart.
take care of their families, take care of their communities. I don't like them being treated
Finally,
like
some
shit just
viewership,
for being
125.
Muslim.
Thank
But I think
God.
that if you don't acknowledge that there's a jihadist terrorism problem across the globe, then you're blind.
I think that Islamophobia is a creation of a psychotic Israeli state. They're the terrorists. They're starting wars, and the reaction to it is completely understandable. And I do think that the Muslim world is incredibly patient, and has been incredibly patient. And I think the idea that the Muslims are the enemy is crazy.
Oh, okay, good,
Yeah.
good. It was
Yes,
really low
Daniel, we
earlier.
are
Okay,
catching
good.
up with the super chats that were sent when we started reading super chats. Awesome. ThorpeTube sends $5, says, awesome debate. Ben won. Suffer, Connor. By the way, Connor, love to debate you on Islamic culture is better overall for women than modern American culture.
That's my daughter.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
that's
nice.
Okay, then the problem with that is like we get into gradations of Muslim culture, right? Like if you're just talking about dress conservatively, don't have premarital sex, et cetera, then I'm inclined, and like don't do drugs, I'm inclined to agree. However, like obviously the extremes are cousin marriage, honor killings, acid attacks, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure.
So that's where it gets a little bit hardcore. So yeah, we could pick a date. We could fight on that, I guess.
Let's go.
Just because this is topical and he's the #1
Let's
super chatter
go.
at the moment, I'm going to.
I'm following up on
add
that in
this to
DMs,
this
Connor.
one.
I'm gonna wipe the
J-Ro
floor
5
with
sends
your male
another
feminist
$10.
ass.
Thank you, sir. Everybody needs to get on J-Ro's level. What about when they try to change laws to marry their cousins and female?
I think cousin marriage can be defended. As far as the honor killings go, yeah, okay. But like how many of those do happen compared to like porn star deaths? Like, okay, check it out. And do they even really do that anymore? There's been a lot of Muslim propaganda, like anti-Muslim propaganda. Like, for example, when I was in school, I was told that a Muslim woman has to have 4 witnesses to her rape to be able to like have it to have justice for it. That's not true. That is a misinterpretation of the actual law, which says that if a man accuses a woman of betraying him sexually, of cheating on him, if they're married, he has to have 4 witnesses for it to be credible. So like I think that's pretty easy to defend. But I know it's kind of like a Rachel Wilson point, but I just want to get in the ring with this fucking guy. We can debate. It's just, I heard him talking about how like the Jews have liberated Muslim women, and it's like, dude, no, they have not. They've slaughtered them and their children. They've slaughtered Muslim women and their children. Yeah, great job. Not the Jews, the Israelis, but like he said, the Jews. Yeah, so they've killed about 180,000 Muslim women and children. That's pretty good. That's pretty liberating. I mean, they liberated them from their earthly bodies, right? But yeah, no. So I can just sense a little bit of that like Islamophobic male feminist thing, which I think can be easily exposed. That's my thought. I don't know. Maybe I won't stick by it, but
Because you in a sense make a lot. The two families are already related. So while genetically it's hugely a problem, you could argue that it's unhealthy. You need some fresh air. I don't think it has anything to do with Islam. I think it has to do with, I don't know, like this kind of idea, like it's better to stick with your
yo,
people.
Manar is in the chat. Manar would like to, dude, me and Manar versus Connor and somebody else. Oh my gosh, wait, this is such a good idea. You and me versus Connor and someone else. Oh my god, yes. That would be a great team up. Me and Manar, let's go.
It's permissible. That
Nice
being
to see
said,
you
like,
again, Manar.
excuse me. I do.
It's not
think
like,
that
but it's not like Muslims are like, oh, marrying cousins is like one of the precepts of the religion. It's
not one of the
cultural
precepts,
thing.
but it's shockingly common. So Andrew Wilson unfortunately introduced me to this talking point.
Yeah, I saw him do it live. I ran his slides at DebateCon for that
Bro,
specific first
absolutely
unveiling.
brutal. I came in expecting, because I was watching that debate. I came in expecting Andrew Wilson to have this like whole theological reason for why like Muhammad's a heretic, and here's the belief systems that separate us, and this is where like turn
No
the other
egg.
cheek is good for society, and this, that,
No
the other. And he was
egg.
like, nah. Muslims fuck their cousins, and then he just started showing like stat after stat
No,
after
I see
stat
it now
after
that you say it,
stat,
yeah.
where effectively like in
put
in
that
Pakistan,
together.
I think it's as high as like
Did Manar
60
block
or
me?
70%. It's actually crazy.
It's a
And then in
cultural
some-
thing, yeah.
Yeah, and then in some societies it's like 10 or 15% or something like that. But it's still like absolutely brutal statistics for cousin marriage in the
I think it has to do with
Africa
sociology.
and Asia.
Like the English thing used to be, right? It's like the first son gets everything because we don't want to split it up among the kids. So you have these weird it's a similar organizational thing like that. Like what's that called? Primogeniture. So you would have like second sons who were absolutely
Okay, I
impoverished
just
if the
DM'd
first son
Minar.
was an a-hole and just like kept all the money. And it has to do with like wealth, transferring wealth to the next generation without becoming like everyone losing what they have. You can see it like in the Walton family, like all the Walmart heirs have equal share, and so like if you put them together, they would have like
No
they could run the
egg?
world.
Yeah, Minar can do his
but
push-ups. Honestly, that would be really funny. Because Connor will see Minar's content and be like, oh, this is an easy dub. It'll just be a shit show. So Connor would need to team up with somebody, a feminist, erudite maybe, some kind of feminist who's like, Islam is terrible for women and modern America is way better. You could probably find somebody who thinks that, right? You need a woman. Who would be good? You could do erudite. You could do. God, there's not many females in this space. Wick TV, sure, yeah, he's a feminist. Any number of people. Let's do it on the channel with more viewers. How about the kill stream? Yo!
I've seen you be very active in the chat. I appreciate it. I don't know if
Nina
this is the
doesn't
only
really
super chat you
debate
sent,
anymore. I
but
haven't seen her.
let's see. It's just to counterpoints. He said Galatians 3:17.
Oh,
This
okay, you're just Minar has a clipper. Minar has a clipper and I don't. What the fuck? Listen, Minar clips. Tell Minar that I DM'd him. Connor has agreed to debate me on the topic that Islam is better for women than modern America. I will suggest to him that me and Minar take the yes side, and him and a feminist take the no side. I think that would be a great content. So tell him that. Tell him I DM'd him about it. I want to set it up, but he's got to respond, or else it's just going to be me and Connor.
Yeah, so I mean that would be the argument from Christian nationalists, right? Is that
I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry, I removed you guys. That would be the argument from
Thank you,
Zionist
Minar
conservatives
Clips. Let's
is
go.
effectively like, yeah, you can't supplant the covenant. So I'm not sure if I'm understanding that chat correctly, but I feel like that backs up.
I do. Oh, I do. God, anyone's have to correct me. I'm just making a joke. Make me feel like I'm ungrateful. I'm not. Oh, I literally have Shabatoni. Oh, that's why you're saying Shabatoni in shambles. Oh my god, why? And Naptown. Oh, what am I talking about? I think I meant like. Anyways, I'm not ungrateful. Shabatoni, my sincerest apologies. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Never mind.
It's not, dude, it's not
gonna move on.
necessary, in my
Sorry.
opinion. It's not necessary to do at all based off of the faith. Therefore, it's a cultural preference thing.
Virginie, please. I am not Joe Shabatoni. You really think I have that work ethic?
Are healthy in the long term. If you look at like correlated health effects related to cousin marriage, they do stack up over time. So it's bad, and we should not bend the knee.
That's
but
fair.
you're
Yeah, that's true, but is it better than never getting married and being a cat lady? Like, compare Ruby to somebody who got married. Oh my god. Sorry. Compare your average ex-fentanyl chatterbait girl with, you know, someone who got married to their cousin. I mean, who's doing better? You know, they have kids, they got a man, they're getting dick on the regular, they got a family, they got a house, they got a religion. You know, really?
all sorts of crazy
Jail.
arrangements, and we all do that. We've largely let go of any kind of sense in which marriage laws regulate sexual relationships. So I knew Muslims who were like, yeah, no, I'm going to have a second, third, fourth wife here in America, but they're not going to go to the courthouse, which causes problems as far as those women's children and stuff like that. But I don't know what we're doing as far as marriage goes, but it's a disaster. We're no pillar
So
as far as how our society regulates marriage. It's a disaster.
I think we should have an ideal, and I think we should endlessly fail at striving towards the ideal, but we should still strive towards it.
What do you think about second cousins?
I think legally or morally, I don't think anybody cares, right?
Well, you're still going to have the genetic overlap.
Yeah, but I'm just
Me
saying,
neither,
like, in
Christoph.
the United States, I think second cousins are not
Yeah.
prohibited in vast
I think it's
swaths of
state
He's
by
talking about the gemstone, like emeralds, jades.
state where it's
Right.
called consanguinity, right? Like, so no one's going to say super close, but like,
Listen, okay,
it
what
somewhat
I'm going to
varies.
say is, like, listen, if I find out people are second cousins or whatever, I might look at you a little bit weird. I might be like, hey, are you from Appalachia or something? Like, were there not a lot of options? Like, what's going on here? But I'm not going to be, like, shitty about it, you know?
Yeah.
And that realistic.
Okay, well, if I look at you, I'm looking at you right now, and I think you're a weirdo with a shaved head and a beard and a back massager and figurines on his bookshelf. Who doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about? So
Species.
a lot of people could look at a lot of people weird, Connor. It's not really an argument. Sorry.
And find somebody interesting to have kids with. And
On the
have
other
kids
side,
with
on
that
the other
person.
side of that, people from different cultures who get married are different races if they're like have terrible rates of divorce. So it is kind of better to stick with your own people.
I'm Northern European. I married a Northern European gal,
Yeah.
and we got Northern European kids. So, like, I'm not saying you have to go crazy out there, but she's English and I'm Irish. That's pretty
Oh, God.
extreme compared to 200 years ago.
That's biracial. That's miscegenation.
Right.
All right. Next super chat is another 5 from Thorpe 2.
Let's go.
Thank you. Was it Grace?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Grace. Connor is the worst debater I've ever seen. Not a Christian, uneducated, and doesn't think it's compatible with Zionism. Why the fuck
She's
did
just
he
trying to
take
throw
this
spice.
debate?
I know. She's just trying to piss me off because last time we were screaming at each other, and this time we didn't scream as much.
No, yeah, the chat is very
Respond!
surprising, actually. Big League Drew for another 5 says, to respond to the acorn, Buddha said there are many paths to enlightenment, so room for many
What was
trees.
the other one I sent? Oh, it was about Mike.
I mean, I agree, but then that kind of gets you back to I'm
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize for trying to make content. I'm so sorry.
real quick. I think there's some creative force that kicked off existence. Okay. I think there's order in
did
the
not
universe
take the
that we
bait.
can observe, and
Well,
that
that's
when
not
you
really my
observe,
fault. This fucking guy, he didn't really read the super chat clearly.
you tend to suffer. And I think that religion is oftentimes the observation of those rules. So I think that there's probably something true about like Hinduism, saying like the Bhagavad Gita opens with a guy who is trying to avoid battle, and ultimately the person said, like one of the gods says that
I
avoiding the
posted them
battle
as
itself
videos,
is a choice,
Virginie.
and you are not
The
separate
last 2 videos, the last 3 videos I posted, I've edited heavily. You're an idiot.
from existence, and to believe so is hubris. So you either participate in the
True.
battle or you don't. Taoism saying that we all emanate and ultimately are the same thing. That kind of talks about like the Godhead or, those kinds of concepts. Anyways, we could go down like another dozen philosophies and religions, but I think truth is found all over the place.
Yeah, we get it, Connor. You're a millennial with a shaved head who probably drinks water out of a mason jar, who thinks that every religion has something true and Jesus was a really great guy. This is boring. I had an art teacher in high school who acted like this. Oh, I'm a Buddhist because, I'm kind of a Buddhist because it's cool to meditate. Shut up! Do you care about anything?
5. Appreciate you, Grace. Supporting your dad. Connor,
Ballin'.
if you don't know the difference between the terms Israelite and Israeli, it's time to log off from Israel debates and put the fries in the bag.
There are
Let's
2
go.
letters separating those terms. I resent the comment.
We're gonna
Okay.
come on. We're gonna get him to see.
Another 5 from Grace. She said, "Mike, I'm so glad you got rejected from the Brokeback Mountain casting call, so you could be here with us tonight. You could pollinate my tree any day." Well, okay. Even Lord 7825 sends $2. Connor is the empire of man, the
Let's
space
go.
Skaven.
$20 well spent, guys.
Interesting question.
Skaven?
Rejected.
So Skaven are rat men, and then the Empire of Man is a million worlds across the Milky Way, unified by a dead god. Weirdly enough, because they have trillions of souls, yes. I think they are kind of parallel to Skaven. But I'll tell you, there's a third party. He's asking about Warhammer, basically. There's a third party manufacturer called Mordian.
Do you stream
MOR.
that game or what?
Yeah.
Nice.
My primary channel is Counterpoints 40K, where I break down the Warhammer universe.
Oh my god.
So if you check out, type in Mortian, Mortian. They're a guy who used to work for Games Workshop designing models.
Dude.
They designed their own tanks that are better than Games Workshop, and they also created a line of cyber rats where they took Skaven and they put them in the Warhammer 40K setting. So I invite you to go check those out.
Thorpe
Those are
with the
excellent
$5
models.
super chat. That's crazy.
Nice. Bubblegum Gun 3292 sends a couple bucks, says, quote, "We defeated the wrong enemy," end quote. Tributed to Patton, yes.
Yeah. Patton might be a competent wartime general, but he was also a lunatic. Listen, and by the way, we spent the next few decades trying to fulfill his dream.
Connor
so I don't know what
Gim,
you're bitching about. We
They're like literally the same. What is this brand of man that like is like a bro and like a frat boy kind of like bro type dude who plays Warhammer? What is this flavor?
Well, I don't know why we made an alliance with the arguably worst empire in the history of man.
This is
that?
like
Which
a
one? The
concerning
Soviets?
pattern.
Yeah, the Gulag.
Yeah, the
guess
Soviets were pretty
millennial
fucking
men.
bad. That's true.
Millennial men who are trying to seem masculine.
I mean, and listen, I can't. I will not, just because I think
Ex-nerd.
that Imperial Japan and fascist
Progressive
Germany deserve to get their
conservative.
fucking teeth kicked in does
Mr.
not
Deadman,
mean that I'm
no,
going
but
to start
like-
sweeping for the Soviet Union.
I'm saying vaguely good looking, not like a 2 out of 10 like that man.
Imperialist. I think republicanism, democracy, mixed
What
economy
business did we
capitalism.
have fighting those nations? They weren't a threat to us.
I think they were arguably a threat to the free world, but again,
Oh, by the
that's
way,
like
you guys didn't even notice I gave my dad a haircut. Yes. Yes, we're upgrading. I just like chopped a bunch of it. I don't really know how to give haircuts, but it looks better.
free,
And
like
sits
in
like he
ways
has
that
no
are
spine
horrific.
because his spine is hurting him.
Oh, you think we should be the policemen of the world, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think so.
Dead man's a 3.
Awesome.
Okay, fine. He's a 3.
Well, we got that out. Minar Clips sends $2, says, "Connor, Minar reports would debate you on Islam."
Minar.
Okay. Sounds great. Send me a
Super spice.
DM. Counter Connor on Twitter. COUNTER CONOR.
Minar's awesome. That would be a spicy one.
Never heard of him. I'll look him up. All right.
Every stereotype.
I heard it here. Scribbling that down.
A negative stereotype of Islam in one human being.
He's like the worst Muslim. Is he like?
He's a Muslim.
What was that Somali
ultra-traditionalist.
guy? There was a
Mana.
Somali guy that was a Destiny orbiter for a while who was running his debate panels. I forget. Karantos.
Oh yeah, Karantos. Yeah. He was funny.
Karantos' cousin.
Yeah, Virginia. I'm also Minar
Okay.
Clips. I'm Shavatoni, Naptown, and
Now
Minar Clips.
we got Even
Add that to
Lord
your file.
7825 sends another couple bucks, says, "Macedonian/Greek incest is
Brother,
good.
This is
Look at
brutal.
Ptolemies."
Truthfully.
The Ptolemies.
Yeah, he didn't spell it right.
All right, hold on.
No, but that's like.
Can you guys hear?
another
Can you guys
historical
still hear?
Doesn't it have a Y in it?
I need to play some music over
What's
this.
Didn't Ptolemy has a Y in it?
Well,
PTOL.
we argued about this last time because I think you didn't
that's
you tell
right,
me that it was spelled a
Ptolemaic.
certain way and I was wrong.
I mean, I'm not an expert on Greek incest, so I couldn't tell you.
I said like Ptolemaic. Like, it's pronounced this way, dickhead. But I was totally wrong. Ptolemaic. But well, hold on. But here's my problem with great men. Okay, it's actually Alexander the Great is the perfect example of my beef with great men.
Oh no!
Alexander the Great conquers the known world. His generals
They
on his
ruined it.
deathbed say, "Who will rule when you're gone?" And he said, "The strongest." And
Much
so what
worse.
ended up happening was his generals divided his kingdoms amongst themselves, created like ethno-religious. It doesn't really capture it, but they created like empires within his conquered territories, and then ultimately they set the stage for all the beefs and wars that were to ensue.
Is it just me, or is like he just mouthing off about random stuff? I don't know. Like I can't connect. I can't find it interesting. I can't find this shit interesting. I'm trying so hard to buy in. Is it just me? Am I like stupid? Do I not care about history? I just cannot follow this guy.
Not with this
The
comment.
name, that's the name of my son, but
Okay.
I don't know if it's actually him.
Well, maybe you know after this. This guy, Ben, has a gross, creepy laugh. Not a great representative for us groypers. Get this gross boomer out of here. He's worse than APAC.
Yeah, my son has recently become a groyper. He originally was some sort of ortho bro, but now he's going to out Fuentes.
Christian imperial. Never mind. It doesn't even fucking matter. But man, like the amount of anti-constitutional, authoritarian
More fun.
Christian nationalist
I'm
bullshit that's
taking
on the internet
cleavage
that
away.
never manifests in real political power is absurd. And like,
It's over.
if you thought Trump was your guy, you thought he was your vehicle to power. Number one, how disappointed are you? Number two, how
Christianity.
disappointed are you going to be when
Christianity.
you back JD
Counterpoints
Vance
are
and then
supposed to be
JD
arguing
Vance
for
ends up being like a post-human, transhuman, teal Trojan horse who just deregulates America so tech bros can dominate the planet. Like, listen, man, don't follow false prophets. That's what I got to say, I guess.
I like Nick Fuentes.
I
don't think
think his
about to
prescriptions
wield
suck
great
ass.
power.
I think he's very funny, but that's about it.
You guys could
Yeah, I think he's an
you
entertainer.
can riff on that for a second if you want. People need to send in some more super chats if you guys don't want it to
brother,
end
it's
right this second. So send it and I'll read it if it's TOS appropriate, and then these guys will answer it.
Yeah. So here's my beef with Fuentes. Simping for Russia.
It's over.
Simping for Trump. Wanting to marry Christianity and secular power. What is effectively just like anti-Semitism.
It's
I know
over.
anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism.
It's never
can
been
overlap,
this
but I think it's
over.
anti-Semitic. And
We all
then
suffer
also,
tonight.
I think he's promising a day that's never going to come. I think he's basically a doomsday prophet.
You
I
did a
don't think
great
there's
job,
gonna be
Dad.
any
I don't know what you're supposed to
Christian
do with this
theocracy
guy.
within my lifetime.
It's never been this over, folks. I'm sorry.
He argued for it a couple of
Andrew
years ago.
Wilson.
I think he's more incrementalist now.
Andrew Wilson is that sort of guy who also will not debate me. And say to all these people, let's get together and decide what life is. But that being said, do you think that the United States will become its relationship? Do you think this is going to become a mainstream position?
No, I think I do think it'll be a mainstream position. I think the Ziocons and the Christian nationalists will have a fight for the soul of the right wing. But I ultimately think that the interests are so entrenched. The military-industrial complex, the energy industry, Israel's military-industrial complex, their intelligence apparatus overseas. It might become more like pragmatic and ruthless, but I don't think it's going anywhere. The most
You
I
think
could
Ben Shapiro's going to triumph?
No.
He's
Weirdly
done.
enough, I think it's gonna be a split. And what I think is gonna happen is that they're gonna have to power broker in order to seize political power.
What
and
does
then
that
also
mean?
what I think is gonna happen is at maximum, what might happen is the United States stops providing $4 billion of foreign aid, but they might do it where Israel says, hey, we don't want you telling us our affairs anymore. So we're not accepting this $4 billion anymore. That's like the maximum that I could see. But then I still think we would back them militarily against Middle Eastern and North African nations if they ever attacked.
Thank you, Lucas.
Yeah, Berserk recent. Okay, you did. So beautifully, Berserk had a follow up to their super chat that I guess I missed. Apologies. There's a lot going on back here, guys. Okay, so They said the scripture I
Lucas
shared, or
valid
she
and
said,
seen.
the scripture I
W.
shared was to prove
Lucas.
counterpoints wrong. He said Christians' beliefs don't line up with the Old Testament. The verse I showed disproved that.
Let me read the surrounding text,
It's
I guess. It
Galatians
was Galatians
3:17
17:3.
or 3:17. Let me double check.
The debate's not retarded. The topic isn't retarded. Is Zionism compatible with Christianity? That's not a retarded topic. It's just that Counterpoints doesn't think that it's compatible, so I'm not sure why he took the debate if he doesn't. He didn't want to address the main topic, so he just danced around it and went on rants about nothing. It's like I can't help but end up feeling like it's a waste of time. And this broing out thing is just like that's. I don't know what to say. Like, I don't blame my dad. Again, I do not blame him for, like, just whatever. What are you going to do? You know, it doesn't make sense to get hostile out of nowhere. But, like, a debate is also for entertainment on the internet. And this, like, nicey thing Connor is doing, like, haha, aren't we all friends? That reminds me of this time Doobie did something. That's not really what we're here for.
But effectively, this sounds to me, because Galatians is Paul, right? It's Paul writing one of the churches in Galatia. It's him saying that, like, yeah, Christ fulfills the covenant, but this does not eliminate the promise to Abraham. And so that's where for me.
Oh, Jerome, my brother, John. Just say Ben is being a bitch. He is. Oh, isn't this how you wanted Daddy to act? Nice and respectful? I thought he was a bad guy when he got angry. That's why you said disgusting things about him on the internet, because he was such a mean man. This is how you want Dad to be, John. Cucked. But now that he is, you don't like it. Make up your mind, buddy. Make up your mind.
Your people are going to number more than the stars or the sands on the beach or whatever. Like, I don't understand how that is nullified.
Yes,
through
he's
Christ,
getting cucked by
because
Connor.
that promise is still there. Now,
The
what's
content
interesting
is being
is
cucked
this is
by
post hoc
Connor, which
reasoning, because
includes
again,
him.
I'm not a literalist.
Absolutely.
If you view Muslims and Christians,
How are you even supposed to respond to this guy just rambling on and on and on, never making a coherent point about the actual topic? All he did at the end, his end quote was, I think Zionism is compatible with Christianity. There you go. No backing, no reason why, no points, just restating his position. That's it.
I'll do maybe one more after this if we don't get one more super chat. She said the promise was all the nations and all the world. So
I would have to read it again.
No,
That would
he's
kind
not
of
taking it up the ass. Nobody's taking up the ass. It'd be better if he was taking up the ass. Every dick here is flaccid. Because Connor is insisting on making this like a goody-goody, I'm autistic and I like talking about history thing, when he's a fucking idiot. He doesn't know about history. He doesn't even know what an Israeli versus an Israelite is. Pathetic.
the Americans becoming Christian, they're Abrahamic. All of the Muslims, which is effectively a belt from Morocco to Malaysia.
I feel called out.
I mean, we're talking about 4 billion out of 7 billion people on the planet, at least in name, follow an Abrahamic faith. So that, to me, once again, it's depending on how you interpret it, on whether or not you think that promise has been fulfilled.
okay, very last one I'll read from Berserk, Galatians 3:29. And if you are Christ,
look at this fucking guy. Look at him with his little muscle here. Look what he does.
very last one I'll read from Berserk.
Let me just take a stretch here. What a fucking loser, dude. I hate this guy more and more. What a fucking fool. Maggot.
Galatians 3:29.
Incorrect.
Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Why don't you take a debate then, if it's so easy to fuck on Zionism? Take one. You should do it. They take newbies here. Debate someone on Zionism. You won't. You're a pussy.
and theologically means like the inspired text is like basically written by the Holy Spirit and protected from error. So I don't think
Yeah,
you're
I know you won't.
on board.
Yeah, I'm
with that.
probably not buying into that. You're right.
So you're
All
a
right.
pussy.
Well, next one, Big League Drew, another $5. This is to both of you. I'd like you to give a 1-sentence answer, no elaboration. Ben and Connor, how would you feel if you didn't have breakfast today?
Oh my god.
Hungry.
I don't know.
Even Lord 7825 says for $2, would either of you debate Daniel Hikikachu?
Of course. I thought it was hilarious that
Not Daniel.
I thought it was
Hikikachu.
hilarious that Daniel Hikikaju came with this, like, for those of you who haven't seen it on Modern Day Debate, you should go check it out. But he came with this like well-documented
the
thing
real
where he's
low-tier
like,
god?
if Andrew argues in a progressive lens, then he's appealing to the modernism, which is non-Christian. And if he argues from a conservative lens,
He did have breakfast. He had scrambled eggs and bacon and English muffin with jelly. So
hopefully articulated.
I'm not gonna lie,
PowerPoint slide.
that was ridiculously hard because I was
Ben's
running
getting
slides
hungry.
and every other
Yeah.
debater gave me prompts on when to change the slide. So I just had to listen to him. I'd never heard it before, and I'm like, all right, change the slide. All right, change the slide right there. But he
Yeah.
was just speeding through it.
Oh, he did a great job, and I kind of loved it.
he's
And I was like, oh
fantastic.
man, we're gonna get into the theological mud. We're gonna be fighting about different ideologies.
Nope,
We're
it's
gonna be talking
Andrew
about
with
how
blue hair.
Different moral systems affect society, and then Andrew was like, cousin fuckers.
Andrew Wilson is thoroughly modern.
But then my problem with that was Daniel Hikikaju, instead of being like, okay, let's talk about theology or let's talk about societies or let's talk about conservatism, he started defending cousin.
Yeah, that was not the thing to double down on to win the debate. But
so lame. Andrew Wilson is hilarious. When he's just rude to opponents. Oh, I love that. Give me some more, Andy. Shut the fuck up.
Know your audience, bro.
that was a
I
legendary
love dunking on brown people because I'm based.
debate. I'm not gonna lie, it was great. Okay.
Fantastic.
We got some more here. Pseudonym 8344 since $20.
Better than this
Thank you
one.
so much.
Anybody would be
They
better
said
than you,
I'm gonna
Connor.
breathe. I think that means being. I'm gonna be. Oh no. They're right. They're right.
No, you know, I guess Connor really is an Andrew Wilson acolyte because instead of focusing on the topic, he just at least Andrew focused on something relevant to Islam. Connor just started talking about what was he talking about? Saudi Arabian newscasters not wearing hijabs. Embarrassing.
Hit to be a Christian, yet they're using Jewish Old Testament
brother,
context.
this guy
Help.
stinks.
Maybe they do need help.
Well, I mean, I think that's what we were talking about, right? We were talking about whether or not the Old Testament covenant or the covenant between Abraham and God was fulfilled through Christ's sacrifice, assuming that you even believe any of this stuff to begin with. But was, is Abraham's covenant with God that he has as many children, as more children than there are stars in the sky and more children than there are grains of sand on the beach, and that his people will inherit the land between the Euphrates and the Nile, is that superseded or fulfilled by Christ? Because for Christ, you don't need any specific territory. You don't need any land. You just need to believe in Jesus Christ, and then boom, you have a connection with God, and you can be forgiven for your sins. And it's obviously more complicated than that, but still. So that's where I still think that Christians can believe that the Old Testament covenant has not been fulfilled and therefore support Zionism, or they could believe that it's fulfilled and then say,
Holy
no, fuck
shit,
it, you
this
don't
guy
need that
never
territory.
stops.
And I think that's what Ben's been arguing the whole time is like, you don't need that territory to be close to God.
Well, for Catholicism, and it is based
stop the music for a
on
minute.
passages of Paul, we would say, like you can read it in the Catechism, though we don't do a lot of this stuff. We would say at the end times, the Jews will return to the Holy Land and will convert en masse. And this will usher in the new heavens and the new earth.
True.
So, but there's never been an idea of like, that we're like Zionism is doing that.
Or
I
that
actually
It's
we
like the
have to help
mechanic
them
through
do
which
that.
to usher in the end times.
yeah, in some ways that'll be fulfilled. We're not called to like fund stupid settlement projects that are rife with evil. I don't think that's what's happening. I think the Jews will be once again dispersed throughout the world. But if they keep doing what they're doing, I think they're going to have a really rough end.
They're gonna invoke the wrath of the Muslims.
That might be seen as anti-Semitic. I think it's because I love Jews that I would say that. Like, I wouldn't advise Jews to continue doing this. It's stupid.
Well, I mean, you could just be being descriptive. You know, you don't have to endorse the rough end. You can just say, hey, you're fucking around and you might find out one day.
Yeah.
That's
That's
what
what I would
Tucker
say. From a
said.
secular point of view, I would just say, this looks like the kind of rubber band that when it lets go, it's going to be rough. And I
Biblical.
don't care. I don't care.
Well, one of the things, sorry, this is an interesting point, is that like
Might be high.
some people were like citing that like, oh, Trump's like a pseudo-messianic biblical figure or whatever, but Ross Douthat is a Catholic, prominent Catholic political commentator, and he was saying, hey, guys, it's cool that you guys think that, Trump is a messianic or biblical figure, but at the same time, sometimes biblical figures are sent to people to chastise them for their wrongs.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things. It's like you can feel, political momentum or social momentum or whatever, but that doesn't always mean that this momentum is going to have a just and righteous result. It could all explode in your face, and that's sometimes history or God trying to teach you a lesson.
Yeah, the Pharaoh is a biblical figure.
Right. And he got schlacked.
Well, he also schlacked them.
Right.
Well, all schlacking aside, we got another $10 from Beautifully Berserk. She's killing it. John 10:16, and other sheep I have which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they will hear my voice, and there will be one flock and one shepherd.
I mean, I would have to look at the context around that. I think my mom told me that when I asked her about Christianity and aliens.
They did give a little more context. Hosea 2:23, mercy on her who had not obtained mercy. Then I will say to those who were not my people, you are my people, and they shall say, you are my God. They gave one more, and this is the last one I'll read. They sent $10, so I'm trying to be nice. Genesis 15:1, and earlier super chats, which we greatly appreciate. After these things, the word of the Lord came to Abraham in a vision, saying, do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your exceedingly great reward.
Yeah, I mean, the thrust of that I took was that like there's some biblical scripture that says that even if you're not specifically of the nations that are being proselytized to, then there's still like potential salvation. And I think Ben said this earlier, that like the people who are pre-Jesus or pre-Abraham, God would still know their hearts. And so when I asked my mom this, because I was thinking about this in the context of aliens, like what if there are other sapient species on other planets that are different than us that have not received the gospel or whatever? And she was like, oh, well, here's this quote. And I think it was the first passage that you read, effectively saying like,
All right, let me try to focus.
God knows the hearts even of well, he knows the hearts of everything, I suppose, is the fastest way to say it.
So she just sent Beautifully Berserk another $10. Thank you so
Killer
much.
Tony.
Jeremiah 31:31. Behold, the
He's,
days
like,
are
reading
coming,
them like,
says the
oh,
Lord,
God.
when I will make a new covenant with the house of
Okay.
Israel and with the house
Yeah,
of
John,
Judah.
go suck
So I
Connor's
think
dick.
from everything I've gotten from Berserk,
needs-
the
he needs
point
it right now.
they're trying to make is she's trying to make
Focus.
is
All right,
that
let's all
Israel
focus.
is all Christians,
Use all of our brain
Not-
power.
Israel the country.
The only thing that I get wary of when it comes to that line of argumentation, okay, in the early 20th, well, number one, there was medieval anti-Semitism that basically said that Jews they rejected Christ, they killed Christ, and therefore they're deserving of our scorn and judgment. Which is not necessarily scripturally
Okay.
supported, but I mean that's the way they thought about it.
Okay.
Then, when it comes to early 20th century, particularly in Germany with the Christian nationalists, was they were saying like, oh, actually, weirdly enough, I'm sorry, Ben, I'm not trying to accuse you of anything, but I'm just going to say it. But basically, they're anti-Jews, right? They're not even Jewish. They don't believe in any of this stuff. They're all atheists and they're communists and they're
Yeah.
usurpers and they're revolutionaries and they worship their own intellect and they do this and they do that. And so effectively all these
True.
indictments of Jewish character led people to use that as a blanket excuse to justify dispossession, ghettoization, mass deportation, and then ultimately mass slaughter. And so maybe I'm being a little bit too sensitive, but I guess I would say is like, don't jump down the Jews aren't real Jews train too quick, or else I'll be worried about where that train's going.
Oh, Connor will be worried. Thank you for your concern.
I'm just saying
Connor.
it's a fact.
What, that the previous citations or indictments of atheistic revolutionary Jews were historical fact?
Well, I mean, I believe the lesson from that is that if we as Christians do what the Jews did in rejecting even the Mosaic religion, we will fall down the same. And I
He's gonna
believe
stop
that's what the
World War
20th
III.
century was. When we reject
Stop.
Christianity, we have
This
a
is millennial
bloodbath, and God will send His
ecumenism.
judgment in that way on us. And I think that's true.
So I'll read these follow-ups here back to back and then let you guys respond. She said, new covenant that actually was promised before the law covenant. And then there are two covenant, one by faith and one by law. No inclusion, not exclusion, not our fault if they reject him. The outcome has no bearing on what is true.
Yeah, God's gonna send his judgment on you, buddy, for beating your own father, for punching your own father in the head, and then telling the police that he assaulted you. You want to talk about judgment? It's literally a commandment: honor thy mother and father.
That is not an
Suffer,
Israel who are
Jerome.
of
Suffer.
Israel.
Suffer.
And the quickest follow-up that
God's gonna judge you for kicking mom out of her own bed so you can sleep in it with your cat while she's on the couch. Is that honorable? Is it honorable for mom to be working 2 jobs and sleeping on a couch so you can have a bedroom all to yourself? Do you pay rent there? While you get yourself a new car and you're not paying rent and you're freeloading off of a single mom with 2 jobs and kicked her out of her own bedroom so you could sleep there with your cat? Is that honorable?
Is like legalism about who God claims. And what I would say to you is just based off of my experience as a human being who's been here for
It's true.
almost
like,
40
that's
years.
legit true.
And experienced all sorts of fucked up shit and seen all kinds of crazy shit.
Yes.
I think we
He's
are
freeloading off of my mom and my other siblings who are actually underage, who deserve to have housing. It's a 3-bedroom apartment. He takes one of the beds because his cat has to live with him because he's a freeloading 21-year-old with a full-time job who won't pay for his own apartment. He wants to get a new car instead. So he kicked mommy out of the bedroom because she can't be around the cat. So he has an entire room for him and his cat because she's allergic and she sleeps on the couch. I thought you cared about her so much.
the way
Say what you will, at least dad has a bed.
that an ant
talking about anyone who accepts Christ.
right, but then you get into weird shit like Inuits who never heard.
No, he can pay rent. He just prefers to freeload off of my mom in a 3-person apartment. There's 6 people there. He prefers to be a 21-year-old with a full-time job who's saving up money for his car payments on a brand new car that he didn't need when she already bought him a car instead of paying the rent. But like, it's also her fault for indulging that, but like, you are a man-child to the highest degree. You could get a roommate and go live on your own like a normal person. I pay rent, you don't. You freeload off your own mentally ill single mother with 2 jobs and 2 underage kids living with her. That's what you do. That's pathetic.
Gospel.
You're not even going to school. You don't even have Charlie's excuse. You have a job. Go get an apartment. Grow the fuck up.
She says that it's not her fault, or it's not. Sorry, excuse me. They reject God because they hate the truth. Not my fault. God can send them a prophet.
Sure. But that's where, like, so for
2025 Corolla Cross. Nice. Yeah, well, look at you. You got a new car when you had a perfectly fine car before that mom bought you. But no, you had to get a new car instead of getting an apartment because you're a leech.
Since you've heard the gospel, what is your impediment to embracing the gospel in a mainstream way?
Makes more sense to stay home and save money. Not when you're the 6th person in a 3-person apartment. No. Go live somewhere else. You've already paid it off. Okay, great. So go get an apartment now. It's time to grow up. Be a big boy. Be a big boy. Oh, you're gonna do it. You can do it. Go on Facebook Marketplace and look for an apartment with a roommate. I believe in you, John. You're a big boy now. You've got a job, as you tell everybody. Get that money together, get your bank account together, and send in that deposit. You can do it. I believe in you.
What if God was one of us, just a slob like one of us, just a stranger on the bus? Like, that's pretty, like, nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice, but it's almost like too convenient for how fucked up the world is. Also,
so
the world
you're saying that
pretty...
does appeal to you, the idea that God became one of us, walked among us.
What car did she buy me? Oh,
showed us the way of
hold on
love,
a second.
and then
I'll find it
died
for
to
you.
give us
Hold on
access
one
to
second. Give me 1 second.
eternal life. I mean, it has to. I don't know why. What doesn't appeal about that?
It's not whether or not it's appealing. It's whether or not it's true. Is it true? And so you guys.
Do you have to say? I guess do you have the sense that the universe loves you?
No.
John, I had to call the cops on you because Joey texted me that he was going to commit suicide because you had punched him. And I called the cops and there's a police report of it. He does not love you. He says that you abuse him. Okay? You have anger issues. You should get out of that apartment. You're not his dad. You're not any of their dads. You should get out of there. And if you have anger issues, go deal with that with a therapist or a priest or whoever you want to see, but don't take it out on your younger siblings. You've been doing this since you were a little kid. I understand that you've been through stuff, but it's not okay to take it out on him. You and Tommy both gang up on Joey. I know that for a fact because he's the youngest and he's easy to, pass around, and you physically abuse him. I know that for a fact. And he doesn't talk about it anymore, but he has talked about it with me. And you should cut the shit. You should cut the shit. Just go get away. You don't have to be there. You don't have to be there. You're freeloading and abusing your younger siblings. Like, maybe that's not a healthy environment. Have you ever considered that? Have you ever considered that? Yes, he did. Yes. I called the cops. The cops took a picture of Joey saying, I'm going to kill myself. And, there was a text from him saying, John punched me and I want to get out of here. It's crazy. So just has it ever occurred to you that maybe that's not a great situation for you to be a part of? Maybe it triggers you. Maybe that's not healthy. But I get it. You want to freeload, but I just don't think that's a good idea. Not a good idea. Okay, where the hell? Let me see that. Okay, hold on. I was looking for something. My drive. Okay. Sorry. Oh, maybe it's my screen recordings.
Hold on a second. I'm looking for something. Oh, I can't find it. Anyways, there's a clip of mom saying that she took like $4,000 out of the bank account. She said it on stream to get you a new car. So that's where I'm getting that information from.
Part of
Can't find
Genesis
it, though.
again.
I believe, yeah, factory farming is what you're talking about.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Like-
it's terrible.
like, so for
I think
instance,
most
like,
Christians would agree it's terrible.
John, there's ways you can punch people without leaving bruises on their literal face. So, that's not really an argument. I believe Joe. I don't think he would lie. I believe that he was seriously distressed when he texted me and he said what happened. I mean, he was threatening suicide. Not that he's gonna do that, I don't think, but like he was really upset. So, yeah, it doesn't sound good over there.
50-50.
Well, of course it
I
is.
don't know the dispersion of males versus females in the chicken population.
These are egg-laying chicks, right? Because the males are useless, basically, right?
Yeah. Let me take.
I agree. Something should be done, but I mean, chickens.
Yeah, you can't raise 1 billion male chickens every year.
Oh, maybe you could. I don't know.
Well, maybe you could eat them. I don't know. After a year, after they get like a
John, I'm glad you got a new car, but like I'm not really glad that it was at the expense of my siblings' mental and physical safety. I think you should have spent that money on paying for your own housing. I think that would be better for everybody involved. I don't think it's a good idea to live with your mother as a son past the age of 18, but you're 21. It's been 3 years. Okay, like it's just you've paid off the car now. You have a job that pays you money. You have a full-time job. Get out of there. You're not those children's dad. You're not mom's husband. Get the fuck away from it all. Like, you have some potential, but I know this is what people say to me, but like, you're not doing well over there. You obviously aren't. It doesn't make sense anyways, because this is a 2-person apartment. You're in a 3-person apartment. You're the 6th person there. You, Charlie, and Tommy are all grown men. Tommy's finishing high school. Okay, that's fine. You and Charlie, why don't you and Charlie go get a room somewhere? You could each pay like $500, $600 a month. Like, I don't understand it. Why do you have the need to live on top of your younger siblings in a cramped apartment and make mom sleep on the couch when she's working 2 jobs, as we all know? Like, do you not at some point think you're taking advantage of that situation? No, I'm not saying there's psychological weirdness, yeah, but like not physical, I don't think. Why do you care? Well, because he's in my chat. I'm going to tell him what I think. Like, you're a grown man. Get the fuck out of mom's apartment. Get out of her housing. You've got your own car. Go get an apartment. You are. You're saving money by cramping their apartment. That sucks to do. Mom should tell you that you have to get your own place. But she's not strong enough to do that. You should man up and just go get your own place. I'm not suffering thinking about it. I'm not the one who's living with you, punching me. Not anymore. I had enough of that as a kid. Trust me. I'm good. You know what happens when you physically assault me, because last time you got arrested, didn't you? You got dragged out in handcuffs, okay? Because you're white trash like that. I had to call the cops on you to get you to stop assaulting me. So you're white trash. I get it. But still, even 21-year-old pieces of white trash generally go get an apartment. There's housing available. Get a roommate. Grow up.
The church. How
I hate to say this, but many Christians are not very good at their faith. Like, I mean, that's
your
the point of
impediment
the
is that
religion.
Christians are flawed? Well, I mean,
Yeah, that's the point of the religion.
It's
yes.
not destroying me, John. I can only imagine. Okay, I know you have this thing. You're no longer part of the family, Grace, as if it's some kind of weird mafia. Clearly, that's not a mentally healthy way to think about it. But I get it. Okay, you and mom are the new mom and dad of the family.
You're not healthy parents, either of you. You're physically abusive and you have anger issues. She's mentally ill and is puppeteered by a group of English trolls and has random men from Discord over at the house. Neither of you are really mentally stable enough to be good parents, although I know you want to play some fantasy out with mommy. But like, my suggestion to you as a sibling is to get out of that situation for your health and theirs. I don't see how it makes any sense. Nobody thinks it's cool to live with your mom past 21 as a guy. Nobody thinks that's cool. Okay, 21 is the end of the limit. You have your own money now. It is not destroying me thinking about that cramped apartment with weed and cat piss smell everywhere. I know what it looks like. I guarantee it. I was at her last apartment in Cranston. I remember it. There was trash. There was shit all over the living room. There was frozen pizza boxes. It's depressing. Your Christmas there is going to be depressing. It is not destroying me to think about your depressing, cramped, pothead family Christmas. It's sad. You don't have your sister. The two underage kids don't have their dad. And that sucks, and it's super depressing, and everybody's gonna, it's rope fuel. It is rope fuel, honestly. My Thanksgiving with Lala was better than that. At least I was outside traveling, okay? So, it's not. Or you're gonna go meet up with our relatives and everybody's gonna be fake. Like, go ahead, enjoy it, but just move out, for God's sakes. Get a life.
Do super chat in if we want to keep this going. I might have to take a quick restroom break after I read the next super chat and let you guys at it. You got to be nice though when I'm gone. Someone took advantage of that before.
We've been pretty nice so far.
No, you guys are great actually.
What they do?
Oh, they took the opportunity when Ryan was away to just kind of get at the other person, talk over him. You know, just not really a good situation.
It wasn't
apparently.
like a dick flash or something.
No, luckily. Don't plan anything.
No TOS, and we'll play nice. But
Take me 2 seconds.
Sorry, there was something that we were getting into though. It was like,
yeah, you're why you're not a Christian.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, the logic of the Trinity is a problem for me. Good Christians, salt of the earth people. It was something along those lines.
Nobody wants a Ben and Grace Christmas. I'm glad that you're speaking on behalf of your younger siblings. That seems healthy. Also, you referred to Tommy, Maggie, and Joey because they're semi-friendly with us as the Ben supporters. That's crazy. You shouldn't do that to kids. You shouldn't call them the Ben supporters. Grow up. Grow up. You shouldn't be telling a 13-year-old boy who loves his dad despite your best efforts to like totally destroy their relationship. Really moms, but you've contributed. You shouldn't tell him like, "Oh, you're on the outside. You're a Ben supporter." When he's a 13-year-old boy who still wants to have a relationship with his dad. I understand that maybe you destroyed that relationship and misery loves company, so you want him to be, I guess, the anti-Ben gang or whatever fucking lame word you have for it, but maybe don't force your siblings to choose which parent they love more. It's just an idea. Just a thought. Just a thought. Maybe don't inflict that sort of mental torture on them because it is torturous for kids going through divorce. Maybe just let them make up their own minds and maybe get out of their hair, so their mom doesn't have to sleep on the couch, so they could have friends over and they wouldn't see their mom's bed on the couch in the living room. Just a thought. Just a thought. Duke Chambers, thank you for the $2. Ben looks so dignified. What a proper gent. Thank you. No, they don't hate dad. And you shouldn't encourage them to hate dad. He does not encourage them to hate mom. And also, the last time that Joey visited, I did a stream with him, and mom tried to get dad judged in contempt of court for being on a live stream with Joe when Joe agreed to do a live stream with me, and it was on my channel. So, nice job, guys. Nice. That's real classy. That's real classy. That's real classy. She packs up her bed every night. Dude, you're talking about your 54-year-old mother. You're 21 years old and have a full-time job. You're talking about your 54-year-old mother. I mean, it's her fault for letting you do this to her, but like, if you think that's a dignified thing for a 54-year-old woman, mother of 6, to do every night, then by all means continue. I personally think that like someone of that age who's working should have a bed, but I guess, you know, we all have differences, right? Difference of opinion. Whatever floats your boat. Jonathan Smith, thank you for the $2. Grace is the total package. Thank you. I am. Come open this package, baby. Packs up her bed every night is crazy. Yeah. Well, you guys are the healthy ones, right?
And so that's where turning the other cheek doesn't get you that result.
I think a lot more forgiveness.
Like, you gotta think about it, like, both these, like, these troll guys or whatever are abusing my mom on one side, like, by making her their personal content. Like, that's what RZA said. He said, Courtney's still content, just not for you. So they're torturing her, mind games and Discord VCs or whatever. Then on the other hand, you've got my fucking freeloading 21-year-old physically abusive brother who is forcing her to sleep on the couch in her own apartment so that he can freeload off her and have a bed for himself and his cat. Great job, guys. Yeah, you're on Courtney's side. You're on Courtney's side, guys. For sure. You're the ones who care about her. You're the ones who want her to be stable. Yeah, definitely. You're treating her like shit. Both sides. Both sides. RZA and those guys who I know you said, John, they're cool. And you. You're both treating her like shit. But we're the bad guys. We're the bad guys.
Hell yeah, brother. God saved the people of Nineveh because of their faith. So maybe that ties into what you're just talking about right now with Gaza.
I think
God
the term
ordered
faith
the
often
slaughter of the Amalekites because of their lack of faith.
A lot of times we think of faith, like faith has two meanings. One is like I believe in these things, but really the core meaning is I trust God and I believe that the world is a good place in spite of the apparent evil that there is
Yeah, dude, it's
within
just a
it.
blip.
And
You're
I think
right.
that's the more core
Overreacting.
meaning of what faith is. And I think there's a lot of faith lacking, especially here on the internet where everyone is
John's welcome to call in. He won't, though. He'll just stay in chat. I always give him the link, and he'll never call in.
trying to determine that there are bad things going on, but
One
I
of
sent
my
him the link
favorite,
on Kick. See, he won't call
one of my
in.
favorite medieval proverbs from the.
Because he knows I'm right. He knows I'm right. He just wants to cope in chat and say he's a king. He's not really that different than Lalo. At least Lalo will call in, though, to defend his retardedness. John's not even going to call in. He knows I'm right. He knows I'm right. He knows that I'm honest. He knows that he's going to lie, and it'll just be more evidence that he lies. He's scared.
Where I try to tell them, it's like, dude, work your job, pay your bills, take care of your family, take care of your community, do the basic shit, because those things are going to pay dividends. Whereas, you know, obsessing over internet petty bullshit, it's fun, but oftentimes not very productive.
well, the selling point of Christianity. as
Staying home
something
to save is
believe in.
whatever, but making your mother pack up her bed every night in the living room is pretty low. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing if, like, there's an extra room you can stay in. It's another to put your mom out on the couch. Like, it's one thing if you're gonna say, like, oh, I'm based, I don't care about women, I guess, but, like, it's your mother. But it's another thing to say, like, I really care about mom and she's been so abused. I don't remember dad ever forcing her to sleep on a couch. I don't think mom slept on a couch once when she was in dad's care or whatever when they were communicating. I don't think she ever slept on a couch. But with you, she's on the couch. She's packing up her bed every morning, ain't she, boy? Ain't she?
Bad things and been a nihilist and a hedonist and not believed in anything and squandered my talents and this, that, the other. And then at the end of that thing, I realized I was miserable.
Yes.
And then I kind of got back on the path and picked myself up. And I, kind of was like, well, I don't believe in all of these stories that my parents told me, but what if I started living them? Because I always
Car
thought
guy
that
is
they
my
were like
brother.
cool and interesting and had moral insight. And what ended up happening was I hit the crossroads and I was kind of like, God, what is the future? And then boom, like I had this like unfurling effectively of my path forward. And then I followed that path, and my life has become, it's still challenging, it's still tough, but it's become really beautiful in a lot of ways. And so I do kind of feel like I have this moment, this road
Good
to
cope.
Damascus moment where you're
Good
just
cope.
struck by the light. But that being said, I don't know what to do with that. I kind of leave that up to God, so to speak.
I would just say from my experience, if you keep your eyes open, he's everywhere showing you his love personally for you. And if you are open to that, he will lead you. But like, that's nothing I can say.
I love my dad so much. He's such a nice guy, but like I don't care. I don't care. I say this before the world. I do not care. Connor is the least interesting person to evangelize ever. He's a fucking retarded millennial. I don't care if he goes to heaven or hell. I don't care. I so don't care. He probably couldn't even convert because he would have like a million questions. He sucks so much. What a waste of time. Like, no offense, Dad. You're the nicest guy in the world. I understand you're trying to be nice, but like, holy shit. I don't give a fuck if this guy wants to be a Christian or not. I think Jesus was a great prophet. Die! Holy, I just don't care. I can't find no empathy. It's not like I really hate him. He's just the worst.
Arguments.
It's like really caring if Destiny converts to Christianity. I don't care. He'd be a terrible Christian. Like, whatever. Everybody has a chance, but like, I personally don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I can go because I think I moved more towards his position than he did towards mine. I
you
think that
lost.
Christian nationalism, not Christian nationalism. I think that Zionist
Put that in a $5
conservatism,
super
Zionist
chat.
Christian conservatism, is possible theologically. Okay, I think you can use.
Like, he's just one of these Reddit guys. Like, he's defending his position finally for the first time. Okay, let's try it again.
Nationalism. I think that Zionist conservatism, Zionist Christian conservatism,
He literally said
is
that, Burgess.
possible theologically. Okay, I think you can use the dualism of the religion in order to justify what's happening in Gaza or Israel. However,
How?
I think that's almost impossible to do if you're paying attention to the words of Jesus Christ himself, who is supposed to be God incarnate on earth if you're a Christian.
How is that defending your side? I think it's possible to defend Zionism as a Christian unless you're a Christian. Great job, buddy. Great job. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with you? Do you not hear the words coming out of your mouth?
Have this idea of the Crusader saint, which was I think an aberration from real Christianity. It was a melding of barbaric warrior culture with Christianity, and I think that was expanded in the British Empire to the point where it was ludicrous. The idea of Christians inventing pliers to disrect the testicles of Kenyan people who didn't want them to rule over them. It represents something that's just an abomination. And that sort of stuff has continued on. I think it's time for us to reassess. Maybe we're not a Christian country any longer.
Are they still going to read it?
Maybe we're a pagan country. At least be honest about it. But I do believe we need to revisit really much more than our support of Israel.
Dude, honestly, I know you're joking, but like, my mom should date a guy. Like, that would be good for her to move on, just like in all areas, but also maybe, like, my brother won't listen to my dad, but like, maybe he'd listen to a stepdad. Like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Your mom needs her own bed. You know what I mean? That might be good. Grace, it's okay. I forgive you. I might let you join our Christmas festivities. I don't smoke weed, so no thanks. I'll pass.
Think that the lesson here, what I find interesting is that in a certain sense, arguing against people who are bent on something, it kind of gives them the idea that they must be doing something worse.
Dude, Jeremy would genuinely be like finally a nice person for her to interact with. Jeremy liked my mom. He had conversations with her. He didn't treat her like shit like my brother and these trolls do. She should have gone out to New Orleans with him. Like he would have given her a bed. He would give her a bed. He gave me a bed. Did he say he wanted to hop into it with me? Yeah, but you know, the man's got to shoot a shot. You know what I mean? Know what I'm saying?
Don't like what they're doing in Gaza. You don't like what they're doing as a policy. You think that they're a settler colonial project. And then you say, hey, you guys are doing such crazy shit. I think this is going to come back and stomp your ass.
I know
like,
you do.
If you
It's not necessary
if you say
to
I'm
hate
being
her. You
descriptive,
can
I'm not
forgive her
endorsing it.
for her failures
that
and
sounds
move
more
on
like
with
you're
your life.
describing it like a mechanic. Whereas when you don't
Jeremy
say
slept on
I'm
the couch
being
for me.
descriptive,
Yeah.
it sounds like you're cheering it on. And that's one of my frustrations. So, for instance, like we kind of got into the mechanics of what happens on October 7th, 2023. I don't think this happened in this conversation, but when I'm fighting people on that topic, it doesn't feel like they're really trying to pursue like the truth of what happened that day, one way or the other. It feels like they're trying to make excuses for why it was okay for that shit to happen because all this other horrible shit happened. And so that's what it feels like.
I do think sometimes it is okay. You know, I don't think Nat Turner's rebellion was moral, but like you can argue in that circumstance that
and I'll just say as somebody who served in first
him.
response and the military, you know, if I
You want to test if it's the real John? John, what were the names of our 2 ferrets that we had when we were younger?
Yeah, fuck it, I'll say it. If I knew, I wouldn't care about geopolitical circumstance. If somebody murdered children and they were like gleeful about it, they like rolled grenades into children's bedrooms and they were happy about it,
Okay,
then
well,
effectively
I
I
don't know
can't
that.
think of
Might not be
a
him.
torture that is too evil to send that person into the hereafter. Like the intentional mass slaughter of innocent people is obviously deserving of like the worst punishments on the planet.
yeah, on both sides.
Yeah, okay, he got it right. Yeah, okay. I don't know why you had to code it. Pippin and Merry, like from Lord of the Rings.
Well,
Agreed.
yeah, we'd have to get the mechanics of war, but yeah.
Nice. And I don't know who said it
It is.
earlier.
It is
but,
him.
Oh,
Nobody
yeah,
else would know that our
cake
ferrets were
hands.
named Pippin and Merry.
Mike more inclined to hang out in the end once the super chats got rolling. Yeah, obviously people are engaged. That's the funnest part of everything. So you're not wrong. Big League for $5 says, "Peace be with you. Happy winter solstice, everyone." Yeah, thanks, brother. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Happy
They were
Sanguinalia,
cute
Merry
names.
Kingsmas.
And they were chosen by me.
That's a
Happy Kwanzaa.
Warhammer 40K and a Space King reference.
My
Go
dad
watch
wanted
Space
to name them like Zodak or something.
And then we got another from Thorpe to $5. Thank you, Grace. I think it's possible, quote, I think this is her quoting you. I think that, counter. I think it's possible to defend Zionism as a Christian unless you are a Christian. As I said, worst debater ever.
No.
I'm sure she doesn't mean it.
Ted Cruz is a Christian. The Zio conservatives are Christian.
No, they're
They're
not.
just bad at reading scripture.
I mean, the problem we don't have much.
I mean, not in any real sense. Not really. Ted Cruz is an Israeli shill, bought and paid. You think he can? If he was a Christian, he wouldn't be doing what he's doing. So not really. That's not really. Oh, your basis for this is that Christians, people who pretend to be Christians, defend Zionism because they get paid. That's your argument. That's your argument. Seriously, that's your argument. The people who say they're Christians support Israel because they're bought and paid for. That is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about whether Zionism as a concept is compatible with Christianity as a religion. You didn't make that point
Justify
at
their
all.
behavior. They probably
Bro, retard. If Ted Cruz is your like the symbol, or if he is the best representative you have of your position, you're cooked. You're done. You're done. He got humiliated by Tucker Carlson. Humiliated. It went viral. I saw it in Instagram reels. I get Instagram reels about fashion and makeup. He got humiliated. People my age were laughing at him. Okay? You're done.
Rule the world spiritually while we're not a theocracy. So the means to that end is questionable. But I do believe that, for example, colonialism, though it had a lot of terrible things, brought the gospel. And as a Catholic supremacist, I would say it doesn't condone the evil behavior.
Do you think my dad finds my super chats cringe? I don't care. I'm just enjoying shitting on Connor.
We're, as Catholics, we're not anti-colonial, but it's not because we're white people or Europeans.
We locked in, twin.
It's because we're Christians.
What's good?
And specifically Catholics. So I don't know, like a lot of people are like, oh yeah, Catholics have moved away from that. That's not true. We believe that every government should recognize the authority of the Bishop of Peter in every.
Oh, now you're seething. Get the fuck off the internet. You're so mad you can't even type the acronym correctly. You're seething because I called you out because you're a pussy ass bitch freeloading off of your fucking mother. It's pathetic. Pathetic. Does that new car get you any pussy, John? I don't think so. You want to see the latest picture I have of John? You want to see what he posted on my Discord? Go ahead and tell me that this is a really healthy guy. I'm genuinely embarrassed that he is my brother. You call me fat, call me whatever. I don't look like this, okay? Let me show you. This is what he freely posted in my Discord server. Hold on one second. Let me bring it up. When he's not posting his art to get validation from a chat, which is so pathetic, John. It's so pathetic. Go to an art gallery, bro. Go post it on Instagram. You're posting it in your sister's Discord server to get validation from the chat. What do you want? Tommy Touchtone's Discord reaction? Like, dude, get a life. Get the fuck out of my server posting your art so that somebody can give it a fire react. That's so pathetic. That is so pathetic. You don't have any friends, so you have to go in my Discord to show off your shitty sketch art. Like, I don't develop it. Do something with it. Post a webtoon. Whatever the fuck people do who have talent. I've never said you don't have talent, but like, that's pathetic. Like, it honestly genuinely makes me embarrassed for you. Okay. Where's the picture? Okay. Let's see here. It was the one with the boots. It was so embarrassing. Alright, let me see. God, you post a lot of pictures in here. Okay, yeah, this one. This is embarrassing, John. I mean, you look ugly. You genuinely look like an ugly person inside and out. This is not a vibe. Like, it's kind of funny, but like... You're ugly. You've turned into an ugly person. I mean, and like, you're trying to cover the hairline. It's not working, bro. We can all see what's going on here. You got 2 earrings on? All the earrings in the world ain't gonna cover that up, buddy. All the earrings in the world ain't gonna cover that up. You're so insecure. Why are you posting this in my Discord? What do you want out of this? I mean, you should just, you're balding, freeloading off of your mom, posting your art in my Discord server so that my Discord fans will validate you and say W. Jerome? I mean, how old are we here? I mean this sincerely. You've turned into an ugly person. You're ugly. You're ugly. You're like a 4 out of 10. Unfortunately. And I say this sincerely. I don't like having ugly siblings, because I like to think that all of my family is genetically blessed. But you're ugly. And that's what happens when you act ugly. It shows on your face. Let me show everybody a picture of you. I've always tried to be proud of all of my siblings because obviously they're like a part of me. Okay, let me show a picture of you back when you were communicating with my dad. Look at your face, dude. You were healthy. You didn't have earrings back when you had a relationship with your father, John. You didn't have earrings. Your hairline wasn't, I don't know if that's really your fault, but you were fit, you were tan. Hey, look at you now. Look at you now. You look way older than your age. You look strung out. You look drugged up. You look gay. It's not good. You're going downhill. Please don't post any more selfies like this in my Discord because I like to maintain the image that I come from a good-looking family and that I have superior Aryan genetics. But if my fucking leech brother is posting these pictures in my Discord, it's really not helping my vibe. I don't care what you have. Anorexia, some kind of eating disorder. That's so gay. Like, I don't care. Do something with your life. Don't come in my Discord and ask my people to validate you. It's pathetic. Embarrassing. Don't notice me going in your group chats with your non-existent friends and saying like, hey guys, give me attention. Can I post a picture of myself? You're not even funny anymore. You just post pictures of dad. You spam pictures of dad. It's not healthy. You have an obsession. Like, go do something with your life. We all get it. You don't like dad. Okay. Well, this was you when you had a relationship with your dad, and I lost it. The other picture is you now. So, how's that working out for you? How's that working out for you? Anyways, I don't like telling you that you're ugly, but, you know, sometimes the truth must be spoken. You're a 4.
From all over the world, the creches, the Christmas scenes. And of course, the Africans have little black figurines, and the Inuits have, and the Chinese have. Now, Protestants might say, hey, wait a second. You know, that's not historically accurate. Of course it's not. But of course it's totally natural that Asians are going to have a little Asian creche with a little Asian baby.
This is how Europe was converted.
You know, right.
No, the argument. So there's a lot of Protestants who make the argument, and I kind of agree with
King,
them. I think
please
it's
help
a
me.
decent point.
Please help
which
me,
is
King.
effectively
Let's
that
go.
the Western Catholic Church used the cathedrals and used art and used all these symbols with which to attract lay minds to the faith.
Right.
And then not just that, but when they were reaching out to pagans and the Vikings and the Norse and the this and the that, they oftentimes appealed to the cultural traditions and the history of their own peoples with which to convert them, because they were
Right.
trying to meet people where they were at. And so that the purists say, well, you're paganizing the
Right.
religion. You're appealing to people where they are, but you're effectively, distancing yourself from the message of Christ. But effectively, I think you can coherently make that argument. I also think that you can't argue that the Western Catholic tradition didn't convert almost all of Europe to Christianity through these tactics. And so you can argue with the tactics. You can't argue with the result.
I mean, John, you're not even a bad-looking guy. Like, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. Like, this was you on your graduation day. Like, you're not even bad-looking. Like, you're good-looking naturally. But, it's time to return to the Father. Like, I don't know what to tell you except for, like, Jesse Lee Peterson. Like, call in to Jesse Lee Peterson sometime. You need to return to the Father. You've been gifted with artistic talent and good looks, and you're tall and blah blah blah, but like, you're ruining it all. You're just throwing it in the garbage. You're not doing anything with your art. You're actively getting uglier, And like that's not going to stop happening. Like I've seen it happen with people. Like Dad's brother, Pete, used to be cute. He stayed living with his parents. And he sort of let them spoil him, and now he like genuinely kind of comes across as mentally disabled. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen to you, but like it does have an effect over time. It's time to reroute. It's time to turn the car around. At least to a neutral path, because the downfall is crazy. That's all I'm going to say on it.
Turned the tide, and it wasn't seen as foreign. And I just think that's like, it's a winning tactic to say, no, we love everything that you're
The
bringing.
host died and no one
Except
noticed.
maybe some of the crap. But like, the Aztecs, like throwing babies into the volcano, like, no.
Yeah,
no
maybe
more
we'll
of
pass on that. Well, but then that's my frustration, I suppose. So
Hans, I don't think a man is going to be satisfied if he does not at least have peace with his father on some level. If you are actively hating your father, that's not going to work, because you are your father's son. He's half of you. Like that's so John hates half of himself, which is why he is so like has so many issues. Like that's not going to work long term. I don't care if you personally like my dad or not. That's not going to work for anybody. It's not going to work.
for camel to pass through the eye of the needle than it is
Like
for a rich person
psychologically
to get
true.
into heaven or something like that.
Yeah.
In the point of that, I
But
think
then the next
especially-
verse is all things are possible with God.
Well,
So you can
but
be
I
rich.
think the point of that though is that it's enforced, particularly in devout Christians who read that scripture and take it very literally, that they're like, if I achieve wealth,
I don't
if I
hate my
achieve
mother,
success,
Ava.
if I get money, then I'm
And I actively try to talk to her. John could talk to his dad anytime. He doesn't. There's two very different approaches.
of scriptural adherence, I think, is incredibly pro-social. Like it's incredibly pro-social to have rich people afraid of God's judgment and therefore willing to give away material possessions. But that's where you lose people.
Well, what is anyone going to do with like what's Elon Musk going to do with like $1 trillion if he
Go
Ava, you know what? You're going to take John's side? Okay, let me ask you a question, Ava. My brother is sleeping on my mom's bed in her 3-person apartment. He's the 6th person in there because he's freeloading off of her to save up money so that he could get a new car. Okay, that's what he's doing. She sleeps on the couch of her own apartment, and he says she deserves to be there. Do you think that's a good idea for him to do that? Do you think that's a neutral thing, like doesn't matter one way or the other? Or do you think that that is not a good idea? No, untime her. I want to hear her response. And second question, do you think that's attractive to females? Whatever you might say about me, I never made my mom sleep on a couch. And she deserved it sometimes, but my dad never made her sleep on a couch. She always had a bed. Not with Johnny.
and our culture has lied to them. And I do think you have to forgive those who
Yeah.
you felt, and it's freeing. It's not an
Yeah.
oppressive. Like
That's
it's
exactly
not
my
like
point, Tommy.
Working out and learning how.
He
to,
makes enough money to go get his own place. Get your own place. Stop living on top of your sibling and your mother's backs. Get your own fucking place. You've got a job.
Yeah, and it's poison for the soul. I think
She
my camera
is sleeping
fro-
on the couch. My brothers and sister have told me she sleeps on the couch because John has a cat, so he needed his own room. Because my mom's allergic to the cat, so she sleeps on the couch, and he sleeps in her room with the cat. Because he has to have his cat, he has to live there, and she can't be around the cat because she's allergic. So she sleeps on the couch because the other bedroom, one of it's Maggie's and the other one is for Tommy and Charlie. There's too many people there. There's a dog, there's a cat, there's 6 people in a 3-person apartment. It's a disaster.
You can have a freedom because it doesn't matter whether your parents, would like to see you get ground up in a shredder. If your mother is Mother Mary and your father is, your father in heaven, like who cares?
Yeah. No, that's I've seen this transformative power as well. The main transformative power that I've seen. So my father-in-law works in a drug rehab center for men, and it's a 2-year inpatient program, and they're literalists, they're Christian literalists.
Oh, yeah.
But because they're literalists, they think that the best thing that they can do is advocate to the poor, and so they've dedicated their lives to that. And then what's happened through these men who have become Christian is that they seek mercy, they seek atonement, they seek forgiveness, they seek hope.
And I'm just gonna say something personally. Like, I know this from living with my mom. She will do this martyr thing where she'll like do something degraded to help someone or whatever. But she like, she lacks respect for herself. That's why she gets like, be able to be puppeteered by these trolls. But also, like, it is depressing. I know this as one of her children, to watch her do one of these things that's degraded. It's not fun to wake up every morning to your mom on the couch, especially when she drinks and stuff like that. And I'm not saying she does it like crazy. I don't really know about that. My sisters told me things like my mom will tell her to cook dinner while she's drunk and text her and be like, food, give me food, which I think is inappropriate, but like, it's just a depressing sight to wake up to your mother on the couch. And, you know, I just think it sucks. Like, at least, like, she's too old for that shit. It's just, everybody knows that, like, she shouldn't be on the couch. She doesn't have her own space. She doesn't have her own room. She just should, to do her own private stuff. I can only imagine. It just must... It must be, that's why Maggie and Joe, like Maggie and Tom, they just spend most of the time at their friends' houses. I get that. I did that too. At a certain point, it just gets depressing. Like, I know I call this the depression nest, but like, it's not close to that. It's like, I don't know, it's like one of those intervention episodes. It just gets to you, you know what I mean? I saw that kind of stuff. Like when my mom was working really hard, she would have this like greasy matted hair and no makeup, and her clothes would be stained and ripped. And it's like, it's just depressing, you know? And I used to be really mad at her for it, because I'd be like, why can't you take better care of yourself? I would rather you didn't do XYZ and took care of yourself. And there is some truth to the fact that she kind of prefers living like that. And she said to me once, like, I don't know why, but I turn every place I go to like into like a homeless shelter. Like, I don't take care of myself. I never have. But like, I don't know. It's just, the whole situation is unhealthy.
That I have from setting up my monitors that's 2 weeks old. We'll go ahead and move that up.
Nice.
It's a little bit too bright, but this is the webcam that I grabbed when we were having technical issues earlier, and apparently split cam's messing with me. But sorry,
Conspiracy.
I need to move the styrofoam out of frame so I don't feel like a piece of garbage.
It's a nice bookshelf.
Almost.
I'm going to text my dad.
Here we go.
Dad, get out of there.
Good enough for government work.
Connor is doing
and I'm
this
also
bro
blown out on the
thing.
camera, but that's okay. Anyways,
Just tell them you gotta go.
yes. And so this is where I get frustrated with the people that were like the guy who was saying,
I mean,
the
if
flying
you're
spaghetti
enjoying
monster,
it,
the flying spaghetti monster earlier in chat.
Fine,
is because
but don't hesitate.
there are things in
to
this
tell
universe that are kind of
you
mind-blowing.
gotta go.
Like fractals. Basically, like all of the universe is made up of smaller geometric patterns. And then also, if you look at, I forget the thing where effectively it's like it's a growing exponential formula that's found in like early living creatures, where effectively their growth cycle is always exponential, but what that exponential actually manifests itself in fossils. And so these things are like, they're naturally reoccurring rules that are geometric, mathematical, and ordered. And then if you look at biology, physiology, psychology, anything like that, you keep observing these patterns of repeatable things that keep happening. Yeah, the Fibonacci sequences, Bud 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's probably what I'm referring to. And so for me to say, oh, it's all a mistake. It's a cosmic mistake.
I
It's
mean,
an act.
I might be wrong, but like I can see in my dad's eyes he's exhausted, and I know that he has a hard time like telling people he's got to go, especially when he feels like they're being nice. I feel so bad for him.
Accident, like spend existence, and then when you die, you die.
He is at the end of the day a very polite person. He won't like. There's guys over at the storage unit You know who I'm talking about, who will yap and yap and yap and yap. And he literally says to me, like, you cannot let them get near me. You cannot. I will get sucked in and I can't find a way out.
Nature, you can like observe like
I
beautiful.
mean, I can just see he's not really talking. Like, this, he's just talking a lot.
I was taking care of it.
Oh, the laughing is strange.
Well, are we stuck at 36?
I think we are. These guys are tight-walleted now.
It happened. You called them out, but hey, they had a good time. So
All
it
right.
is what it is.
Well, we went a lot longer than I thought we would. We had a lot more engagement once people got it rolling.
Yeah.
So it was fun. All right, so we are going to wrap it up.
Okay.
Let's thank some top fans here. J. Rowe, Pseudonym, Berserk, Big League Drew, Bless, Grace. Guys, appreciate all y'all getting after it,
Yo.
being
No
engaged.
problem.
All right, so we
Shouts
got, I believe, a couple debates coming up over the next couple days.
Could this
We
guy
got some
be lower
feminism debates.
energy?
We got Trump on trial with Rob Noor. You should.
We've got a couple of debates coming up. This is like Lowe's energy match. He should not come with her. Literally, we have like some debates coming up, like whatever. It is what it is, honestly. Trump on trial, Rob Noor versus this guy. I don't really care. Channel name.
Sorry
Sure.
that my lighting is all blown out, but my name's Connor. I run a couple of channels, mostly under the name Counterpoints.
I adjusted your brightness, by the way, on my end.
What's that?
I adjusted your brightness a little bit to make it less harsh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. But Counterpoints 40K is my main channel. That's where I break down the wonderful world of Warhammer. I'm also starting up Counterpoint Sci-Fi and Star Wars, where effectively what I'm doing is I'm taking the movies and TV shows that already exist, I'm cutting out 30 to 40% of them, and then I'm filling it up with lore.
think I saw
So
that he called her
basically, if you
dumb
want to
bitch
know
or
more about
whatever.
these universes, check it out. It's a really easy way to get into it. Counterpoints Politics and Valor Media Network. So I am live Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m.
Valor
And
Media?
Monday through Friday, I'm typically live on Valor Media Network. So type that into your YouTube search bar. You can find me there. And like I said, I'm live in the mornings. Tuesdays, I'm live on Counterpoints Politics, and that's where I post my VODs. So yeah, if you're interested
What's
in any of
going
the
on?
things that I had to say, I'm kind of like a center-right Republican-y guy, but I've been very disappointed in the Republican Party since the rise of Trump. And so basically expect me to make the libs happy
Yeah, he's
until
a
I start
Warhammer-
talking about
Warhammer guy.
religion
Sorry
or
about that.
sex or guns. And then it's bad.
Right.
That's it. Check me out there.
Appreciate you. All right, Connor. Moving on. Ben Thorpe, go ahead and give your.
Okay,
Fucking laugh
yeah,
is so forced.
I have a lot of content on the channel that follows my name here, Ben Thorpe, aka Abel, like past debates and things like that. I also have a newer channel called The Daddy Pill, in which I'm exploring,
Yes!
in a certain sense, the role
That's
of
right!
fatherhood,
Shout it out!
fatherlessness, God the Father, and similar topics to what I was talking about with Connor. My daughter also streams with me on ThorpeTube, which is our bigger channel. We do IRL. We meet interesting people. We sometimes engage
Let's
in
go.
debates. And she's, I think, streaming now, and she'll have a little bit of an after party if anyone wants to go there to hash things out. And she also streams on Kick under ThorpeTube as well.
Let's go.
Anyways,
Perfect
thank
shout
you
out.
very much, Mike, for your time, and Connor for your time as well. And I'm glad to.
No, it's
It
fun.
seemed to
Next
go
time we
pretty
need
well.
to pick a topic that we'll scream at each other about.
Yes, I missed.
Yeah,
the
I think that's what chat was most disappointed with in the beginning.
screaming. Yeah,
They're like, "This is so chill. Like, what's going on?"
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
We
I actually
had
have
a
to
real
follow
sane
constructive
conversation.
arguments.
Next time we need to throw elbows.
They thought it was
Yeah,
just going
I
to
think
be.
we didn't have enough tension.
Well,
But
I had a lot of tension with the chat. I'm gonna be honest. They're bullying me. But we love
It's
it.
the
We love
cowboy
it.
hat, man. It's the cowboy hat. You
I
do
knew
look
it.
like a more masculine Chris Ray Gun in a cowboy hat. So yeah,
I don't know who that is.
He's an anti SJW YouTuber who made music in the late 10s, and he was really good. Like he was like a
I-
really talented guy.
I also make music. I'm a multi-instrumentalist. Compose a lot of
Maybe
stuff.
you guys are cousins.
Well, I'll tell you what, I ain't gonna marry him. But appreciate you guys' time, and we're going to go ahead and sign it off now. Thank you all the people in the chat, and if I didn't catch a chat that was aimed at me, I apologize. You guys did great.
Nobody
Y'all
cares.
have a great night, and Merry
You
Christmas.
are low energy.
Thanks.
All right, Merry Christmas, guys.
Bye. All right, well, nah, fuck the after party. It's 1 a.m. Love you guys. Thank you for watching with me. Great job all around. Great job, great tits, great super chats. Love you all. See you next time.